Chapter 1183. After Huang Xiaoyun and Pan Yen left, Lu Kuan was the only one left in the hall. He stood there quietly, his expression heavy. Although he had made a name for himself in the great Zhou dynasty, there was still a great deal of pressure in his heart. The body refining pavilion only had 3 bone transformation stage cultivators, including him. Their foundation was too shallow. Only when there were double digits of bone transformation stage cultivators would their body refining faction truly rise. If I modify the blood will secret technique, it shouldn't be a big problem. Next is the second obstacle, the heavenly thunder tribulation. Lu Kuan's heart was heavy. The heavenly thunder tribulation of a body cultivator is closely related to the body's aptitude. The stronger the body, the more shocking the power of the heavenly thunder tribulation. However, the range of the body's source strength is wider, and one can use stronger battle skills to resist it. This depends on each person's comprehension of battle skills, as well as their ability to adapt on the spot. There's no way to interfere too much. His eyes flashed with worry. These years, Xiao Jin has been constantly refining his bloodline and strengthening his bones. With the help of the blood will, the first obstacle won't be a problem. But the heavenly thunder tribulation, it's hard to say. This little guy has a 9-star physique like me, and he's also a monster beast. It's very likely that he will encounter the terrifying 9-stage heavenly tribulation. Without thunder resistance and a strong skeleton, the risk is extremely high. Lu Kuan paced back and forth in the hall, an idea gradually forming in his mind. A simple jade pendant appeared in his hand. He whispered a few words, and a moment later, there was a happy squeaking sound from the other side. He muttered, "Only with this arrangement will Xiao Jin have a better chance of surviving the heavenly tribulation. Those disciples also need to experience it. I hope that more body cultivators can successfully break through to the bone transformation stage." Lu Kuan was silent for a moment, thinking back to his trip to the great Zhou dynasty. The harvest this time is great. There are all kinds of secret techniques, top-grade spirit stones, and even the demon dragon blade. Whether it's the derivation of body refining techniques or the development of battle treasures, there are too many things to do. However, the most important thing right now is to quickly increase my cultivation and rush into the late bone transformation realm before the Shattered Nation. Only then will I be able to deal with more unforeseen events. In the ancient battlefield of the Shattered Nation, a true demon race will appear. This is an excellent opportunity. Perhaps I can obtain some inspiration from the Demon King's divine abilities. Thinking of this, his figure flashed and left the main hall, flying out of the mountain gate. Between the mountain gate and the demonic abyss, there was a small valley. The outside of the valley was shrouded in the spiritual light of the forbidden formation. Lu Kuan landed in front of the valley, and a token appeared in his hand. A mysterious fluctuation flashed, and a small opening appeared in the array formation's light screen. He slowly walked in. In the small valley, there was a small black mountain that was around 100 feet tall. Its surface was shrouded in a layer of pale yellow mist, and it faintly emitted a frantic aura. This was the body refining pavilion's mountain of vows. Lu Kuan looked at this small mountain and sighed in his heart. The spirit demon king's divine soul was equivalent to the late spirit severing realm. The extended restriction of the oath was probably unbreakable in this world. With the protection of such a powerful restriction, even the lowest disciple of the body refining pavilion would not be able to soul search the key information. After the baptism of many different kinds of wills, the vitality of my internal organs has reached 80%. I only need 2 kinds of wills to reach 100%, which greatly reduces the cultivation time of the life force. Lu Kuan took 2 steps forward, opened his mouth slightly, and spat out a ball of silver essence blood. It sank into the black mountain, and soon condensed into a strong frantic aura that returned to his body. He bowed towards the small black mountain, and then left this place, returning to the Devil Abyss Cavern. Serene was cultivating in the Rongyuan Demon Cave. Her skin looked more lustrous, and even had a ruddy color. She looked more like a human, and the cold Yin energy in her body was purer than before. Every time Lu Kuan refined his internal organs, the remaining pure spiritual energy would be refined by Serene. This silver-armored corpse's sensitivity to demon qi and spiritual qi was no less than that of a talented cultivator. Lu Kuan walked to Serene and sat down cross-legged. The frantic aura has merged into your internal organs. Let's start casting. Serene nodded slightly, and her mouth opened slightly. The dark spirit crystal floated between them. Next, the two skillfully guided the pure spiritual energy to refine their internal organs. Not long after, Lu Kuan suddenly opened his eyes. The muscles on his arms suddenly bulged, and in the blink of an eye, they had doubled in size, as if they were two giant arms that could hold up the sky. He actually used the connecting arms theurgy. But this theurgy disappeared when he entered the middle stage of bone transformation, and his flesh and blood completely merged. What's going on? Lu Kuan's eyes were full of astonishment. Just now, he felt that under the pressure of the pure spiritual energy, the frantic aura did not escape from his internal organs. Instead, it merged into his blood in a strange way. Then a special energy emerged from his internal organs and rushed directly into his arms. He was very familiar with this energy. It was the bloodline power of the giant long-armed ape. The frantic aura can merge into the blood and temporarily produce bloodline power? Recalling the situation in his internal organs just now, Lu Kuan's expression became strange. He murmured, "When I refined the mountain of vows, I used the frantic aura to display the golden light divine eye. Now it seems that the remaining frantic aura is likely to have entered the bloodline. I was at the early stage of bone transformation, and my flesh and blood couldn't merge. The connecting arms theurgy was still there, so I didn't notice it. The frantic aura and the bloodline of the giant long-armed ape." Lu Kuan connected many things in his mind. That level 10 peak demon turtle dug out the frantic aura from the bloodline and merged with it to try to break through to Demon King. The Blood Beast Sex letter also said that Han Ting found the frantic aura from the top demon beast's bloodline. The lost connecting arms theurgy was activated because of the transformation of the frantic aura. This means that the giant long-armed ape's innate theurgy relies on the frantic aura inherited from the depths of its bloodline. If this is the case, the innate theurgy of top demon beasts is probably related to the frantic aura in their bloodline. The reason why the giant long-armed ape can have such terrifying physical strength is because of its bloodline theurgy. It focuses on the transformation of will energy into the body. Under imperceptible influence, the body far surpasses that of other demon beasts. Lu Kuan thought of the devil-ape transformation theurgy. The giant psychic arm borrowed the frantic aura to increase the body's strength by 50%, and the devil-ape transformation theurgy was strengthened by the true demon aura. The two combined through the operation of the bloodline theurgy and spread throughout the body, temporarily strengthening the body's cells and doubling the strength. He recalled the process of using the devil-ape transformation many times in his mind. Combined with the discovery of the frantic aura, he gradually understood. From this point of view, the power of will is a kind of temporary strengthening energy for the body. For mortals, will can also affect the strength of the body. When they are angry, the secretion of hormones in the body will increase, and the blood will flow faster. In other words, when the power of qi and blood is exhausted, it will lead to an increase in strength. But for body cultivators like us, after entering the blood condensation stage, some of the hormones in the body will be able to self-adjust. The power of qi and blood can be controlled at will, and any attack can be used to the fullest. For high-level body cultivators, will can affect the strength of the body in another way. Lu Kuan fell into deep thought. As his cultivation level increased, he came into contact with more and more power of will. Especially after activating the 1 yuan force, he had a lot of thoughts about all kinds of will. His previous speculation about body refinement and soul refinement was to comprehend will and combine it with the internal organs to break through the limit and reach the 1 yuan force, entering the body refinement and soul refinement realm. But now, the relationship between the frantic aura and the bloodline theurgy gave him a new idea. My current 1 yuan force is all from the devil-ape transformation. It's the power of will. It's not the real strength of the body. In other words, the power of will is not a prerequisite for body refinement and soul refinement. I can treat it as a theurgy. Even if I don't comprehend will, as long as my body reaches 2 million pounds, I can control yuan qi. His thoughts gradually became clear. If that's the case, I'll simplify it and divide the cultivation into body and soul. When my physical strength reaches 2 million pounds and I have the 1 yuan force, I can enter the body refinement and soul refinement realm. My control of demonic spirit yuan qi will be stronger than those pseudo-soul refinement cultivators. In other words, the 1 yuan force corresponds to the primordial spirit of a traditional cultivator. At present, the cultivation method of body and soul only involves the spinal cord of the central nervous system. The brain is not involved. If it is gradually perfected, the ultimate goal is to comprehend the power of will. If I achieve the power of will, I can use the internal organs as a furnace and find a method similar to the bloodline theurgy. I can spread the power of will throughout the body and temporarily strengthen the body. If I analyze it this way, the power of will is indispensable for traditional soul refinement cultivators. But for body refinement cultivators, it's a special bloodline theurgy. After concluding in his mind, Lu Kuan slowly exhaled. The body is the foundation, and the bloodline theurgy is the trump card. I'll study it when my cultivation level is high enough. The next cultivation task is clear. First, I'll cultivate my body to the late stage of bone transformation. He looked at the pair of psychic giant arms. With a thought, the blood essence in his arms retracted into his body under his control. His arms gradually returned to their original state. After all, it's my own blood. I can control it freely. Lu Kuan breathed a sigh of relief. While maintaining the mental strength in his internal organs, he remobilized the life force in his bones and entered his internal organs through his spine. He tried to absorb the blood essence that was infused with the frenzy will. Since the frenzy will could be compatible with his blood, he might as well control this will to attack the mental strength from the outside to the inside. As the blood that contained the will was absorbed into his internal organs, the two energies collided. A shock wave of consciousness quickly spread out with the internal organs as the center. Just as I expected, feeling the dried-up internal organs, Lu Kuan smiled. The frenzy will belongs to the spiritual attribute. After the internal organs are repaired with the demonic spirit, they can be increased to 90% life strength. Next, I'll go to the Sword Valley to absorb the sharpness will and increase it to 100%. Chapter 1184. A few days later, in the Rongyuan Devil Cave, Serene Er's figure had disappeared. There was only a 30-foot-tall giant, surrounded by a ball of light made of demon yuan qi, exuding a terrifying pressure. After an unknown period of time, the huge body trembled slightly and began to shrink. After a while, the giant became 6 feet tall, and the surrounding demon yuan qi gradually disappeared into the dense demon qi. Lu Kuan had just used Transcendence Dharma World to guide demon yuan qi into his body to repair the consciousness shock wave and damage to his internal organs. Accompanied by a strange aura of destruction and life, he slowly opened his eyes. Feeling the vigorous internal organs, the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of a smile. After the tempering of several foreign wills, the strength of my internal organs has increased again, reaching 100% life strength. Just one cycle is enough to cultivate all the life force. According to the cultivation experience of the early stage of bone transformation, the life force in the body doubles to reach the threshold of the late stage of bone transformation. With abundant life force, the blood can store demon qi and increase the storage of demon qi. The improvement of the internal organs has shortened the cultivation time of life force. It is at least 2 or 3 times faster than before. I can start the cultivation of the middle stage of bone transformation. After Lu Kuan used Transcendence Dharma World and Demon Ape transformation for the first time, he had roughly deduced the cultivation method of this stage. With some insights from his trip to Great Zhou, he had perfected it. The cultivation goal of the middle stage of bone transformation was to strengthen the concentration of blood essence and transform it into bone treasure cells. If one could achieve this, then when other body cultivators reached the late stage of bone transformation, even if they didn't have the silver dragon meteorite iron, they would still be able to display the supernatural power of Dharma idol. However, blood transforming into bones was different from flesh and blood fusion. It was a one-sided transformation. Lu Kuan had no clue how to reverse the transformation of blood into bone treasure cells. He deduced that there were 3 stages to the middle stage of bone transformation. One of the stages was the same as the early stage. Through the circulation of the spine and internal organs, the blood essence energy was absorbed, and the life force was increased. The second stage, Lu Kuan called it blood-bone smelting. Through the use of Dharma idol and demon ape transformation multiple times, Lu Kuan discovered that the key to transforming blood into bones was the same as the bottleneck of the early stage of bone transformation: the tendons. The free transformation of blood into muscle was using tendons as nodes to expand and grow muscle. Among the components of muscle, tendons were the closest to bones. The moment blood was transformed into tendons, it was the state closest to bones. Blood-bone smelting first transformed the blood into tendons, and then activated the power of destruction to temper the tendons and nodes of the entire body, thus increasing the quality and density of the blood. The entire bone transformation realm was a transformation of the body. The characteristics of the bone treasure were transferred to the whole body. The early stage was the transition to the muscles, and the middle stage was the transition to the blood. With the cultivation method echoing in his mind, Lu Kuan slowly walked to the intersection point of the spiritual energy pillar and the dense demonic aura. The power of qi and blood gushed out from his body like a vast ocean. This thick blood rushed to the surface of the bones. Silver tendon flowers appeared all over the bone treasure, and the original tendon area expanded by half. At the same time, the muscle fibers swelled up, like solid rock balls that hung on Lu Kuan's body. They were deformed and ferocious. An astonishing power of destruction emerged from the bones and muscles. At the early stage of bone transformation, only the bones stored demonic energy. At the middle stage of bone transformation, demonic energy also existed in the muscles. This demonic energy triggered the power of destruction, one from the outside and one from the inside, tempering the blood in the tendons. When the blood was tempered by the power of destruction and could no longer maintain the tendons, other blood would flow over. As long as all the blood cells in his body were tempered at the tendons, he would have completed a round of cultivation. The cultivation time of the power of life is greatly shortened because of the strengthening of the organs. This blood-bone smelting can also increase the cultivation speed. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a golden light. His burly body trembled slightly, and the more than 200 bones in his body creaked. The luster of the silver dragon meteorite and the transformation array on the bone treasure brightened. His body was quickly elongated, and he turned into a 3-meter-tall giant. My bones have been enlarged by 5 times. Although the amount of blood in the tendons has not changed, the area tempered by the power of destruction has increased by several times. The speed of each round of blood refinement has greatly increased. The consumption of Dharma world is astonishing. But in the Rongyuan Devil Cave, an environment rich in demonic spirit qi, the replenishment of demonic energy is extremely fast. After going back and forth, the cultivation speed of blood bone smelting has increased a lot. As time passed, Lu Kuan gradually completed a round of blood bone smelting cultivation. He calmly sensed that the blood in his body had been compressed a bit, becoming more solid and solid. He whispered in his heart, "Next is the third stage of cultivation, bone marrow nourishment." Refining the blood like this could only ensure the density of the blood in this round. The blood in the human body was continuously produced through the bone marrow. In this stage, the condensed blood would replenish the bone marrow and increase the blood production ability at the same time. The speed of bone marrow nourishment cannot be increased, but I can use this time to recover my demonic energy. As this thought flashed through his mind, his huge body gradually shrank and returned to its normal size. The rich demonic spirit qi in the surroundings surged towards his body. Just like this, Lu Kuan cultivated in a cycle of 3 stages and completely entered a state of seclusion. In a cave in the depths of the Spirit Transformation Pavilion in Qingzhou, Wei Nation, a burly naked man and a giant bear stood opposite each other. There were dozens of scars on their skin and fur, looking extremely hideous. This man and bear were the martial artist who joined the body refining pavilion many years ago, Xiong and his spirit beast, the giant spirit bear. Xiong held a short knife that flashed with golden light and stabbed it into his chest. He cut open his flesh expressionlessly, as if he did not feel any pain. The corners of his mouth did not even twitch. Under his skin was a large sternum that was 1 size larger than an ordinary human's. His left hand was wrapped in a layer of pale yellow light as he directly reached in. Accompanied by the sound of grinding teeth, this deformed sternum was forcefully pulled out. "Little dumpling, this is the last piece of bone." The giant spirit bear nodded obediently and puffed out its chest. Xiong squinted his eyes and pulled out the short knife. With a gust of wind and golden light, he stabbed it into the giant spirit bear's chest. Then, he did the same thing and pulled out a relatively thin sternum. He muttered something and the 2 pieces of bone floated up, emitting a pale yellow light. With a crisscross, the small bone entered Xiong chest, while the large deformed sternum entered the giant spirit bear's body. Xiong expression was complicated and he sighed, "Little dumpling, it's been almost 100 years. The bone that was implanted by that old witch is finally changed back by our own hand." The giant spirit bear's eyes were very lively, but there was some pain in them as it whimpered twice. Xiong was silent for a moment. A surge of qi and blood energy rose in his body. He carefully sensed the bones in his body and muttered, "Fortunately, I waited until you became a level 2 demonic beast before I tried to change the bones again. I didn't expect the qi and blood energy in the bones to be so little. I'm afraid it was only after you broke through to level 2 that the demonic spiritual energy and bloodline flowed. Although the qi and blood energy is little, I can still give it a try." Xiong eyes flashed with determination. "Little dumpling, I'll leave the rest to you. Use your fastest speed to break all the bones in my body. Only when the bones are broken and the blood is condensed will there be a chance to absorb the qi and blood energy and refine the demonic bloodline." The giant spirit bear climbed up and looked at Xiong body that was a few sizes smaller than it. Its eyes were filled with worry and reluctance as it whimpered, "Of course I know that these bones have not been cultivated by the demonic spiritual energy. It's risky to break through to the blood condensation realm. But if it wasn't for the seniors from the body refining pavilion, we would have died long ago. How would we have the chance to break through to a higher realm?" "Woo!" Xiong stared and shouted, "What are you waiting for?" The giant spirit bear was quick-witted and let out a roar, as if it was cheering itself on. Its thick bare paws slapped down on Xiong human body. "Gotcha!" Hiss, soon after, the sound of bones breaking and Xiong-shan's painful cry came from the cave. Chapter 1185. Middle State of Wei Kingdom. This area was very different from many years ago. A large area near the Land of Death was divided into the Tsang State where the Sky Sword Pavilion was located. The remaining area was only half the size of the Middle State and belonged to the Five Elements Pavilion, one of the 6 body refinement pavilions. The 5 Elements Pavilion cultivated the 5 Elements body refinement technique created by Lu Kuan and had the most body refinement cultivators. Other than the mortal disciples who had fused with the weapon spirit root, there were also many cultivators who had switched to the body refinement technique. These were the disciples who had ordinary spirit root aptitudes but had 3-star physiques and above. Most of them came from the local cultivation families and itinerant cultivators of Wei Kingdom. It had been more than 130 years since the body refinement pavilion was established. These disciples who were still in the Qi refinement stage or the early foundation establishment stage had all become powerful body refinement cultivators. On this day, in a secret room of a certain abode in the depths of the 5-element pavilion, a 7 or 8-year-old little girl was lying on a jade bed. Her skin was extremely strange, sometimes red and sometimes ghastly white, and her body temperature was rapidly changing. On both sides of the little girl sat a man and a woman. The man was burly and handsome, while the woman was slightly taller and valiant. These 2 people were the new Bone Treasure Stage body refinement cultivators of the 5 Elements Pavilion, Wang Hui and Hu Qian. More than 100 years ago, they were the direct descendants of the Wang family and the Hu family in the Middle State. The former inherited the fire element cultivation technique, while the latter inherited the water element cultivation technique. The strength of the 2 families was ordinary, and they did not even have a core formation stage cultivator. However, most of the disciples of the 2 families had 3-star physiques and above. They were more suitable for the body refinement technique than ordinary cultivators. Wang Hui and Hu Qian were the best among the disciples of the 2 families. In the past 100 years, their elemental fire and elemental water body refinement technique had broken through bottlenecks one after another. Half a year ago, they had successfully condensed their core and melted their bones, entering the early bone treasure stage. At this moment, the body refinement couple had serious expressions. Early core formation stage Dharma power surged in their bodies as they formed some kind of immortal cultivator spell and injected it into the little girl's body. With the passage of time, the little girl's skin gradually turned pink. Her wrinkled facial expression also relaxed. Her mouth and nose emitted a light groan as if she had fainted. Seeing this, Wang Hui and Hu Qian slowly withdrew their magic power. Looking at the little girl, their eyes were filled with love. Hu Qian lamented, "Fate makes fools of people. If Feifei was a man, her true yang body would be at least a 6-star physique. However, she is a woman. With the imbalance of yin and yang, her physique is even worse than a 1-star physique. In addition to his physique, his spiritual root is a rare 5 elements spiritual root. Not only is it difficult to practice the traditional immortal cultivation method, but the amount of spiritual qi his blood can hold is extremely limited. His body refining art can only be practiced to the bone tempering stage at most. Right now, we can still use our magic power to balance the imbalance of yin and yang in her body. However, when she reaches the age of 30, I'm afraid that even nascent soul stage Dharma power will not be able to protect her." Hearing Hu Qian's words, Wang Hui was silent for a long time. Then, he said, "Qian don't worry. I've already asked Elder Pan to pass Feifei's blood essence to the Pavilion Master." The Pavilion Master created the body refining sect. His understanding of the physical body has reached an unimaginable level. If he is willing to help, even if Feifei can't enter the immortal cultivation world, she can at least live to 100 years old. Hu Qian's expression was somewhat hesitant as she said, But Feifei is not a disciple of the body refining pavilion. Her aptitude is also so poor. Won't the pavilion master? At this moment, the bracelet on Wang Hui's right wrist suddenly flashed with a red light. He scanned it with his divine sense and revealed an expression of ecstasy. It's Elder Pan's communication talisman. The pavilion master really has a way. As he spoke, a light red jade talisman floated in front of the two of them. Really? Hu Qian was indescribably happy. It was as if she had found a life-saving straw. Her divine sense quickly poured into the communication talisman. As time passed, the couple frowned at times and became happy at other times. Their expressions constantly changed. Ebook. After a long time, Hu Qian muttered, "Demonic spirit art? A half-demon body actually has a cultivation technique that can improve one's physique." Wang Hui took a deep breath and slowly said, "I once heard Elder Pan mention that the spirit-transforming pavilion was researching a secret technique to improve one's physique. I didn't expect it to succeed." He stood up and paced back and forth in the hall. After a moment of thought, he said, "True Yang is a special kind of fire attribute energy, comparable to heavenly flames. According to our Wang family's records, it belongs to the top of the immortal cultivation world. According to the logic of body refining, this true Yang body is the integration of the extreme fire attribute into the bloodline. Feifei is a woman. This kind of bloodline isn't compatible. As she grows older, the conflict with her internal organs will become more intense. Her internal organs will deteriorate faster, and her lifespan will be depleted. The pavilion master's idea is to start with the bloodline. Through the cultivation of the demonic spirit art and the integration of the bloodline of extreme cold demonic beasts, there is a high possibility that it can neutralize the true Yang attribute in Feifei's bloodline." When Hu Qian heard this, she couldn't help but say, "But this demonic spirit art seems to be more dangerous than the body refining art. During the cultivation stage of the Vajra arts, one will have to exchange bones with demonic beasts. The conflict between the different bones in the body will cause 20 years of lifespan to be lost. Feifei's internal organs are already weaker than a normal person's. I'm afraid the loss of lifespan will be even greater. She might only be able to live to 30 years old." Wang Hui shook his head and said, "With our help, Feifei still has a chance to reach the bone-tempering stage with her spirit root. Her lifespan loss is still bearable." You've read the Pavilion Master's description. You should know that the key to the half-demon body is the breakthrough to the blood condensation stage. He rubbed the jade talisman and said, "The spirit-transforming pavilion's disciple tested the demonic spirit art. Due to the lack of blood energy in his bones, he could only break through the bone marrow cavity of his sternum and refine a small amount of demonic beast bloodline. But at this time, the sternum can absorb a large amount of blood energy from the demonic beast. Through repeated bone exchange and nourishment, using the blood essence and blood energy of the demonic beasts, it can refine the other bone marrow cavities in the human body. It can gradually improve the blood in the whole body and completely integrate with the demonic beast bloodline, achieving the half-demon body." As he spoke until here, he looked at the little girl sleeping soundly on the jade bed. A trace of a smile appeared on his face. "Junior sister, have you noticed that this kind of breakthrough to the blood condensation stage is more suitable for Feifei?" Hu Qian was stunned for a moment before she reacted. Her face was filled with joy as she said, "That's right. Feifei only has a 1-star physique. The amount of Fa her blood can hold is extremely low. It's almost impossible for her to break through to the blood condensation stage. If we use the demonic spirit arts method and use the blood energy to open up one bone marrow cavity, there's a great chance." Wang Hui's expression was excited as he said, "Although the demonic spirit arts blood condensation stage requires a long period of seclusion to break through, as long as she enters the blood condensation stage and integrates with the cold attribute demonic beast bloodline, the hidden danger of Feifei's true Yang physique will be mostly solved." In the future, when she reaches the viscera forging stage, not only will she be able to completely get rid of the hidden danger, her physique might even be greatly improved. Analyzing it this way, this demonic spirit art is completely prepared for cultivators with low physique. If Fei, with her 1-star physique, has the chance to cultivate to the blood condensation stage, then others can do the same. The appearance of the demonic spirit art gives more people the opportunity to cultivate their physique. At this moment, Hu Qian seemed to have thought of something. She revealed a worried expression as she said, "According to the Pavilion Master's judgment, there's a high chance of success with the cold attribute demonic beast bloodline. But what if there's no neutralization and there's a conflict?" Wang Hui squinted his eyes and interrupted. "This depends on what kind of cold attribute demonic beast it is. After we capture the demonic beast, we can first use the blood control technique to test the compatibility of the cold attribute bloodline and Feifei's blood. As long as the bloodline is suitable, the success rate won't be low." Hearing this, Hu Qian's expression gradually became firm. She clenched her fists and said, "All right, let's do it this way. This is Feifei's only chance to cultivate. First, let's bring Feifei into the spirit-transforming pavilion and learn the demonic spirit art. Then, we'll head to the outer seas to search for cold demonic beasts and collect demonic cores for the sect. Let's go. We'll head to the spirit-transforming pavilion now." Chapter 1186. Time flew by and more than 80 years passed in the blink of an eye. Over the years, more and more great Zhou cultivators entered the southwest immortal world. Lu Kuan's fame gradually spread, severely injuring the Xian sect and the Saint Devil sect, fighting against 2 divine transformation realm cultivators. When Master Lu of the Body Refining Pavilion was mentioned, almost all cultivators would think of the divine transformation realm. Under the protection of Lu Kuan, the Body Refining Pavilion developed rapidly with the resources brought by the vast territory. The number of disciples, especially body cultivators, increased at an alarming rate. Today, there were more than 700 body cultivators in the body tempering realm, who were equivalent to the foundation establishment realm. There were 29 body cultivators in the bone treasure realm. In addition to the disciples of the Sky Sword Pavilion, Spirit Transforming Pavilion, and Treasure Pavilion, there were more than 60 core formation realm cultivators. Because the Body Refining Pavilion sealed off the Wei Kingdom, the outside world did not know their true strength. They did not know that the only bone transformation realm body cultivators in the Body Refining Pavilion were Lu Kuan, Huang Xiaoyun, and Pan Yen. On this day, at the bottom of the demon abyss in the depths of the Yunling mountain range, several sturdy body cultivators stood outside a cave. Everyone's expression was incomparably respectful. The leader of the group was a sturdy young man. He was the bone transformation elder of the Body Refining Pavilion, Huang Xiaoyun. Behind him stood 2 men and a woman. They were the outstanding disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion, Li Qianfeng, Zhao Qiming, and Duan Yun. With the help of the Devil Pool in the demonic Dragon Mountain and the assistance of Huang Xiaoyun and Pan Yen, these 3 people's cultivation progressed rapidly. Now they had all entered the bone treasure realm. Elder Huang, the pavilion master, came out of seclusion this time. Did he break through again and enter the late bone transformation realm? The one who spoke was Li Qianfeng. His muscles were incomparably sturdy, and there were faint traces of black light surging under his skin. His right demon arm was incomparably thin. Huang Xiaoyun slowly said, "The pavilion master's cultivation is not something we can guess. He called you over this time is related to the Yuan secret realm." Yuan secret realm? The legendary ancient ruins left behind by the Yuan sect. Naturally, they knew of this famous secret realm. The pure true demon water that was an I. It was an eyes, of course. Li Qianfeng was Zhao Qianfeng. Zhao Qiming stood beside Li Qianfeng. His body was slightly thinner, and his hair had fallen out at some unknown time. He curiously asked. Pavilion Master wants us to seize the pure true demon water inside. Is this also helpful to body cultivators? Huang Xiaoyun shook his head. Although the pure true devil water is precious, it doesn't have much use for a body cultivator. The Pavilion Master sent you to the Yuan secret domain, this time, not to gather resources, but to bring a senior out. When everyone heard this, their expressions froze. Of a realm. The mystic realm restricts nascent soul cultivators from entering. Huang Xiaoyun listened to everyone's conversation and sighed. This senior has a great relationship with our body refining faction. He is a disciple of the ancient Yuan sect. Next, he told them how the Hong brothers had explored the path of body refinement. The 4 first-generation disciples were soon immersed in the story. After a long time, Li Qianfeng said with a shocked expression, "So this is how the qi and blood are created. These 2 seniors Hong are the pioneers of body refining." He raised his withered right arm and murmured, "The idea behind the body refining demonic art is very similar to the demonic zombie body refining art. The former stores the demonic energy in the demonic arm, while the latter stores the demonic zombie subbody." The others were also shocked. From this story, they could feel the difficulty of cultivating devil body refining technique. Eating the corpse of a devil body refining technique was not something an ordinary person could do. At the same time, they were incomparably angry with the Han family of the Yuan sect. If they had not experimented on devil body refining technique, Senior Hong would not have been asleep. Huang Xiaoyun said solemnly, "Pavilion Master has come up with several plans to bring Senior Hong out. However, the premise of these plans is that you have to subdue him. This senior cultivates devil body refining technique. Due to the special nature of this technique, he has survived since ancient times. However, his soul has been affected by the true devil intent and bloodthirsty intent for many years. His mind is in a mess. Not only do you have to subdue him, but you also have to awaken his consciousness. Otherwise, it will be useless to rescue Senior Hong out of the secret territory. According to Pavilion Master's estimation, this devil body refining technique pioneer will encounter a heavenly tribulation once he leaves the secret territory. Facing the heavenly tribulation, if his mind is not clear, only death will await him." Li Qianfeng and the others heard this, and their expressions became dignified. Their combat strength could be said to be the strongest under the nascent soul stage. If they joined forces, even 2 nascent soul early stage cultivators would dare to fight. However, they could not help but feel a sense of pressure when dealing with Senior Hong. According to Huang Xiaoyun's description, this senior not only reached the limit of the bone treasure stage, but also generated body source strength. The strength of a bone treasure stage cultivator was between 25 to 300,000 gene. There was a big gap with the limit of 400,000 gene. Moreover, Senior Hong had body source strength, which had an absolute suppression on them. Duan Yun frowned and said, "Senior Hong's body has integrated with the corpse of a top devil general. I'm afraid his defense is comparable to a bone transformation stage body cultivator. Even if I attack with all my strength, I'm not sure I can injure him." Zhao Qiming said worriedly, "With 400,000 gene of strength and body source strength, his movement speed is even more amazing. If we join forces, I'm afraid we can only protect ourselves." Hong Yuntian's strength is indeed amazing, but what if you also generated body source strength? Just when the several disciples' expressions were heavy, a deep voice came into everyone's ears. A burly middle-aged man in gray clothes slowly walked out of the stone house door, with a little golden monkey lying on his shoulder. "Pavilion Master." Disciple greets Pavilion Master. Everyone showed a respectful expression and bowed in greeting. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with golden light. He looked at Li Qianfeng's demon arm and said with a smile, "Not bad, Qianfeng, you have successfully integrated with Yu Xian's 3 sons' demon fire. Pure demon fire is flowing in your body. Then he looked at Zhao Qiming, showing a bit of surprise, and said, "Good boy, I just mentioned it, and you actually succeeded. Not only did you use the tool spirit root method to complete the 5-element spirit root, but you also transformed your Fa Li into the 5 elements poison Fa Li." Zhao Qiming said respectfully, "If it wasn't for Pavilion Master's guidance and Elder Du's help, I wouldn't have succeeded in the transformation." Lu Kun glanced at Duanyun again, showing a satisfied look. "Very good, you guys are in excellent condition. Blood thoughts have also integrated into the bone treasure, so you should be able to pass the test of physical body source energy smoothly." Li Qianfeng said with some doubts, "Pavilion Master, you said to generate physical body source energy before. Do you want us to go to the Yuan's secret realm after breaking through?" Lu Kun touched Xiao Jin's tail and shook his head. "After entering the bone transformation stage, the energy in the body will be transformed into demon ability. Even if it is temporarily transformed, it can only stimulate the Fa Li and demon ability of the perfect foundation establishment stage. It can't activate the Yuan Jade Pendant." The corner of his mouth slightly raised. "What I mean is, after you enter the secret realm, try to refine yourself and generate physical body source energy. To generate physical body source energy, you have to face the heavenly thunder." Li Qianfeng suddenly thought of something halfway through his words, and his eyes bloomed with surprise. Zhao Qiming and Duanyun were the same. Senior Hong Yuntian, who had generated physical body source energy, had been stuck below the nascent soul stage, and had never passed the body cultivation lightning tribulation. In other words, the special environment of the Yuan's secret realm couldn't produce heavenly thunder tribulation. If they could generate physical body source energy in the Yuan's secret realm, wouldn't they have enough time to familiarize themselves with the body cultivation combat techniques? Lu Kun smiled gently. "It seems that you guys have also thought of it. If you don't pass the heavenly thunder tribulation to generate demon ability, you can still activate the Yuan Jade Pendant. Both sides have physical body source energy. The three of you and Xiao Jin, together with the body cultivation combat techniques, can completely subdue Hong Yuntian. Finally, the moment you leave the secret realm, it will be the time for the heavenly thunder tribulation to descend." The 3 body cultivation disciples all showed excitement. The success rate of this heavenly thunder tribulation was at least several times higher. The Yuan's secret realm will open in a year. During this time, I will teach you all the body cultivation combat technique. As for how much you can comprehend, it will depend on your luck. Yes, Pavilion Master. Chapter 1187. In the middle of the desert in the central province of the Qi Kingdom, there was a pit with a radius of several thousand feet. The bottom of the pit was filled with rocks that were covered in cracks. Strong gusts of wind were squeezed out from the dark cracks, forming small whirlwinds. This was the entrance to the Yuan secret realm. Now that the secret realm was about to open, many cultivators had already gathered around. A giant airship floated in the air to the north of the pit. There were nearly 20 cultivators on it. Most of them were peak core formation demonic cultivators. There were only a few foundation establishment cultivators. In addition to the wandering cultivators of the northern state, there were also demonic cultivators from the Great Zhou dynasty. 80 years ago, under the lead of the Body Refining Pavilion, several large sects of the Southwest jointly established the Southwest Merchant Alliance. They built and renovated many markets. That was especially true in the northern province of the state of Qi, where a ferry port had been built. Furthermore, he had expended a great deal of precious materials to create a battleship that could withstand the great wind. He had even opened up a safe route on the Heavenspan River. With the help of the Southwest Merchant Alliance's ferry, even Foundation establishment cultivators could safely cross the Heavenspan River. It opened a window for communication between the Great Zhou dynasty and the Southwest cultivation world. The demonic cultivators on the airship had paid a great price to obtain the Yuan Jade Pendant from the Southwest Merchant Alliance. In the past, even if demonic cultivators obtained the Yuan Jade Pendant, they wouldn't be able to enter the Yuan secret realm. They would be killed by the nascent soul elders of the major demonic sections. But now, with the protection of the Southwest Merchant Alliance, not only could the demonic cultivators who bought the jade pendants and talismans enter the secret realm safely, they would also be escorted out by the Merchant Alliance. However, even with this layer of protection, there were very few demonic cultivators who bought the Yuan Jade Pendant. After all, the battles in the Yuan secret realm were also filled with danger. In the southeast corner of the pit, the disciples of the blood refining sect and the yin-yang sect gathered together. The disciples of both sects were conversing amicably, completely different from the open and covert struggles of 300 years ago. In the air above the disciples of the two sects, a red-haired old man and a beautiful woman in a purple dress stood side by side. They were the leaders of the two demonic sects, Qian Jingshan and Su Junwen. "Brother Qian, how's the investigation of that matter going?" Su Junwen quietly looked at the pit below and asked through his divine sense. Qian Jingshan said with a strange expression on his face, "Ever since Fairy Su told me that Master Lu was Zhang Tianbiao who entered the secret realm 300 years ago, I not only arranged for many disciples to search for information, but also personally went to Chu. We've found out the origins of Master Lu and the body refining pavilion, but Su Junwen noticed the change in his expression and couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong, Brother Qian? Is the source of the body refining pavilion special?" Qian Jingshan shook his head, took a deep breath, and said, "It is rumored that the body refining pavilion is a sect passed down from the ancient Yuan school, but according to the information I have collected, this is not the case." At this point, fear flashed through his eyes. This body refining technique was created by Master Lu himself. He is the founder of the body refining pavilion. How is this possible? Su Junwen's beautiful eyes were full of disbelief. Master Lu has cultivated to his current level in such a short time, and even created his own body refining technique. This is too. Qian Jingshan's mouth twitched. If Master Lu is Zhang Tianbiao, then he is less than 500 years old. His appearance and name are exactly the same as a foundation establishment disciple of the Yang clan's body refining pavilion from 400 years ago. If it wasn't for my sect coincidentally finding a surviving disciple of the Wei Kingdom's 9 Serenities sect, I'm afraid we still wouldn't know that this Lu Kuan of the Yang clan used magic tools to fight back then, which is exactly the same as today's body cultivators. Hearing this, Su Junwen's face changed. If the Yang clan had a body refining technique, they wouldn't have been so easily exterminated. Moreover, Lu Kuan's technique and fighting style are so different. It's impossible that the Yang clan didn't know about it. Qian Jingshan nodded lightly. Lu Kuan and the current treasure pavilion's Qin Yushu are known as the two heroes of the weapon refining peak. They have quite a reputation in the sect. There's only one reason why the Yang clan didn't pay attention to his technique. Su Junwen murmured, "It's because this technique is incomplete. Or rather, it's a newly created technique. If a technique can't even be cultivated by a foundation establishment cultivator, then no one will pay attention to it." Qian Jingshan continued, "There seem to be traces of Lu Kuan on the Demon Island in the outer seas. However, the great sects of the Chu country have close relations with the body refining pavilion, so we couldn't get any specific information. Later on, this Master Lu disguised himself as Zhang Tianbiao and appeared in the Yuan secret realm. He revealed his core formation cultivation and his fighting strength almost reached the pseudo-nascent soul stage. It's obvious that at that time, he had already derived his technique to the core formation stage." Hearing this, Su Junwen couldn't help but recall the scene of that year. Even though she had activated the power of her nascent soul, she still didn't dare to fight one-on-one with that powerful demonic zombie. Although the great sects of the Chu country aren't easy to get information about, some small clans of the Chu country do know some information. That is, the body refining pavilion was hidden in the chaotic ocean. Its restrictions were broken by the manifestation Thunder Tribulation, and it had no choice but to reveal itself. Later on, that Zhang Tianbiao and Fairy Su participated in the great battle of the Qi Kingdom. At that time, Master Lu's cultivation had officially entered the nascent soul stage. Later on, he and you privately confirmed the time of the great battle of the Blood Demon Mountain Range. It should be to ambush Old Devilshire. Qian Jingshan sighed softly. Master Lu's development all the way until he took over the Wei Kingdom. He was the only nascent soul stage body cultivator. In other words, 200 years ago, the body refining pavilion was just a weak sect. Master Lu was the only nascent soul stage body cultivator. The other nascent soul stage cultivators were all sword cultivators of the Heavenly Sword sect. When Su Junwen heard this, he was silent for a long time. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions. He muttered, "He's not even 500 years old. Not only did he cultivate to such a stage, he even created the body refining lineage that had never appeared before in the immortal cultivation world. Such talent," Qian Jingshan said with a wry smile. 200 years ago, we were still recuperating after the war. We were unwilling to provoke outsiders. If we had joined forces at that time, I'm afraid that the body refining pavilion would not have developed. Now, the body refining pavilion's strength is extremely terrifying. Yu Longfei, a sword cultivator at the great cultivator stage, seems to have a spirit treasure replica in his hands. As for nascent soul stage body cultivators, we know of 2 of them. There are also nascent soul stage elders and class 8 demon beasts in the spirit transforming pavilion. There are more than 10 nascent soul stage cultivators in the body refining pavilion. More importantly, Master Lu's strength has already exceeded our imagination. When Su Junwen heard this, an indiscernible look flashed across his eyes. He asked, "Brother Qian, you've already reached the peak of the great cultivator stage. Has Master Lu entered the soul formation stage?" Qian Jingshan pondered for a moment and said, "I once used a secret technique to sense it. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the body refining pavilion shows no signs of being refined. From this point of view, Master Lu hasn't entered the soul formation stage," he said with some hesitation, "but the news from the great Zhou dynasty is so real. He has the strength of a soul formation stage cultivator. I can't sleep or eat well beside the body refining pavilion." When Su Junwen heard this, his gaze shifted slightly. His expression relaxed a little. He said, "Brother Qian, you don't have to worry about this. With such a shocking cultivation technique, the top sects of the great Zhou dynasty will definitely covet it. The existence of our sects can be said to have blocked some obstacles for the body refining pavilion. With the addition of the Southwest Business Alliance, they won't easily swallow us." Qian Jingshan sighed softly. There was a hint of loneliness between his brows. He said, "If old Demon Pang had successfully broken through back then, perhaps the situation in the Southwest cultivation world would have been completely different." Unfortunately, as he spoke, he seemed to have sensed something and looked towards the southwest. "The people from the body refining pavilion are here. Master Lu is personally leading them." Chapter 1188. After a while, the cultivators near the crater all saw a huge battleship covered in black steel spikes shooting over from the distant horizon. This battleship was extremely fast, and it drew an arc in the air. Accompanied by a violent gust of wind, it steadily came to a stop at the western side of the crater. Immediately afterward, a burly figure transformed into a silver streak of light and flew toward the area of the 2 demonic sections. "Fellow Taoist Qian, Fairy Su, long time no see. I trust you 2 have been well since we last met." Lu Kuan arrived beside the 2 demonic cultivators with a smile. With Lu Kuan's arrival, Qian Jingshan and Su Junwen felt a heavy pressure wash over them. The air around them seemed to have solidified, and they couldn't help but feel goosebumps all over their bodies. This feeling seemed to be even more intense than 80 years ago. Qian Jingshan laughed dryly. These past few years, rumors of Master Lu's astonishing abilities have been spreading all over the great Zhou dynasty. Our southwest cultivation world can finally hold our heads up high to the side. Su Junwen's eyes flickered, and he covered his mouth with a smile. I heard that Master Lu's abilities are comparable to those of the soul formation stage. We should be addressing him as senior. Lu Kuan sighed. In both of your sects there are seniors attempting to break through to the soul formation stage. You should know how difficult it is to enter this stage. Although Lu is somewhat powerful, it is much more difficult for a body cultivator to break through to the soul formation stage. I have yet to find that opportunity. Hearing this, Qian Jingshan and Su Junwen both heaved a sigh of relief. However, their expressions were still filled with reverence. Rumors about the body refining pavilion were abuzz in the great Zhou dynasty. The two of them were quite confident in Master Lu's abilities. After all, they had personally witnessed Lu Kuan's meteor battle technique. His ability to manifest vital energy into a form was extremely terrifying. Seeing their expressions, Lu Kuan smiled slightly and sent a voice transmission to Qian Jingshan. Lu noticed that fellow Taoist Qian's physical body is showing signs of decline. You don't have much lifespan left. You should be attempting to break through soon. Qian Jingshan's expression didn't change, but he was shocked. He sent a voice transmission. I am now slightly over 900 years old. I still have 70 to 80 years of lifespan. Master Lu must have seen wrongly. The corners of Lu Kuan's mouth curled up. Many years ago, when he was refined into the jade-bone humanoid devil, he clearly remembered old Demon Pang's words. Qian Jingshan still had over 200 years of lifespan left. He continued to transmit his voice. Perhaps I was mistaken. However, Brother Qian will attempt to break through to the soul formation stage sooner or later. When you integrate the will of the true devil and activate the devil vital qi, it will definitely affect the Cloud Ridge Mountains. When the time comes, Lu will have to take action to protect Wei's devil qi. I'm afraid it will interfere with fellow Taoist Qian's breakthrough. Qian Jingshan's expression changed slightly. Master Lu, what do you mean? The smile on Lu Kuan's face remained unchanged as he transmitted his voice. This Lu doesn't have any other intentions. I just have a suggestion. Why don't the blood refining sect and the poison refining pavilion exchange their territories? The Demon Dragon Mountain has 2 true demon pools, and the pure demon qi they contain is no less than the Blood Demon Mountain range. If the blood refining sect moves there, the devil qi triggered by fellow Taoist Qian's breakthrough won't affect the body refining pavilion. Lu won't disturb fellow Taoist. Qian Jingshan's expression was a bit ugly. Master Lu's request is too much. My sect has been in the Blood Devil Mountain range for tens of thousands of years. Even if I don't agree, the nascent soul elders in my sect will oppose it. Lu Kuan's eyes narrowed. Lu, I'll cut to the chase. If fellow Taoist Qian is willing to move to the Qi Kingdom's West Prefecture, Lu can sign a contract with you. Not only will I not disturb fellow Taoist Qian's breakthrough, but I will also protect you. Even if the Great Zhou's soul refining demonic cultivators come to cause trouble, Lu can stop them. Qian Jingshan cursed in his heart. The Great Zhou's Saint Devil sect, which had a conflict of interest with them, was already half destroyed. Lu Yanjun had also reached the late nascent soul realm. Ordinary grand cultivators wouldn't dare to cause trouble at the blood refining sect. The only one who could threaten her breakthrough was Lu Kuan. Damn it, this guy is threatening me. If the demonic Yuan Qi is disturbed, even if I successfully fuse with the true demonic intent and form the half-devil soul, it will be for naught. Although the Southwest Chamber of Commerce is the link, The alliance agreement between the Body Refining Pavilion and the Blood Refining Sect has already expired. If I don't agree with this guy's character, he might use force. Qian Jingshan fell into a dilemma for a moment. Su Junwen saw that the Blood Refining Sect's Grand Elder's face became very ugly after hearing the two's voice transmission. He couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He laughed dryly and said, "Please continue. I have some things to tell my disciples." After saying that, the beautiful female cultivator flew towards the disciples of the Yinyang sect. Lu Kuan didn't care. He looked at the entrance of the Yiyuan secret realm quietly. His eyes flashed. No one knew what he was thinking. After a while, Qian Jingshan seemed to have made a decision. He said slowly, "Master Lu, I can agree to this. However, apart from what Master Lu said before, there are two more conditions." "Tell me, Daoist Qian," Qian Jingshan said solemnly. "First, our two sects have been friends for 1,000 years. In the next 2,000 years, the Body Refining Pavilion can't annex my sect, let alone invade the West Province." Lu Kuan was silent for a moment. Then, he said, "I can agree to this condition. What's the other one?" Qian Jingshan looked at the Body Refining Pavilion's battleship in the distance and said slowly, "The second one is to trouble Master Lu to ask your disciples to help me bring back a demonic zombie from the second level of the secret realm." "Demonic zombie?" Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes. "The one in Daoist Qian's hands? But the secret realm limits nascent soul cultivators. There shouldn't be a demonic zombie of this level." The corner of Qian Jingshan's mouth twitched. "I know Master Lu is Zhang Tianbiao from back then. What he wants is the special demonic zombie from the Devil Refining Cave." Lu Kuan was slightly surprised. He glanced at Su Junwen and sighed. "Daoist Qian, Lu's divine ability is stronger than a body cultivator of the same realm. However, with my strength back then, I couldn't do anything to that demonic zombie leader." Qian Jingshan quickly shook his head. "There's no need for the strongest one. According to the disciples' report, there are at least 2 more top-grade demonic zombies in the Devil Refining Cave. If a high-level body cultivator cooperates with my sect's disciples, we can at least capture 1 top-grade demonic zombie." Lu Kuan said with some regret. "I'll have to disappoint Daoist Qian. The Body Refining Pavilion didn't send any high-level body cultivators. The core formation disciples are all demonic sword cultivators from the Sky Sword Pavilion. As for the body cultivator disciples, only a few foundation establishment cultivators came. They can't help at all." Hearing this, Qian Jingshan couldn't help but extend his divine sense towards the Body Refining Pavilion's battleship. He didn't check carefully before. Now, he discovered that there were only 34 people on the Body Refining Pavilion's flying ship. One of them was Huang Xiaoyun, a nascent soul stage body cultivator. There were also 4 disciples who looked very thin and weak. Their bodies were filled with dense demonic sword intent. The leader of the group was a male sword cultivator. His metal attribute demonic power had already reached the great circle of the core formation stage. The other 3 were much weaker. They were only in the early and middle stages of the core formation stage. The remaining 29 people were all body cultivators with strong physique. Even the few women among them had obvious muscle lines on their exposed arms. Although the aura of these people was faintly discernible, Qian Jingshan could still sense the aura of foundation establishment stage magic power. When Qian Jingshan saw this scene, he said with a stunned expression, "Master Lu, your sect seems to have intercepted more than a dozen single-origin jade pendants from the Southwest Chamber of Commerce this time. Moreover, Master Lu has come in person." Lu Kuan chuckled and said, "I will explain the purpose of my visit to fellow Daoist Qian later. The pavilion has other uses for the single-origin jade pendant. In short, Lu can't catch the demonic zombie. After all, sword cultivators focus on attacking. Their defense is too weak. They are not a match for the top demonic zombie. Fellow Taoist Qian, please change the condition. Qian Jingshan still wanted to say something, but looking at Lu Kuan's expression, it was obvious that he didn't want to catch the demonic zombie. However, the demonic zombie in his hand, after many cultivation sessions, had gradually developed consciousness. Unless it swallowed the nascent soul of a great cultivator, it couldn't continue to soak in the true demonic water. Only by changing a new demonic zombie could he use the secret technique of the demonic refining art to help him break through to the deity transformation stage. After thinking for a while, Qian Jingshan sighed and said, "How about this? Can you sell the pure true demonic water obtained by the disciples of the body refining pavilion to our sect?" Lu Kuan nodded and said, "That's no problem. In this case, does fellow Taoist Qian agree to migrate the sect?" A trace of struggle flashed across Qian Jingshan's face. In the end, he said dejectedly, "As long as Master Lu signs the contract, I will persuade the elders of the sect." Lu Kuan showed a satisfied expression and a stone appeared in his hand. At this moment, his expression suddenly changed. "Hey, the opening of the secret realm seems to have been brought forward a little." From the crevices of the rocks at the bottom of the pit, a mixture of yellow, black, and white spiritual light gushed out. It was full of demonic aura, and spiritual aura. A terrifying wind pressure swept out in all directions. Then, a bright silver light curtain appeared from the bottom of the cave. Chapter 1189. On the grassland at the edge of the first level of the Yuan secret realm, a bright silver light flashed. 29 figures gradually appeared. These people were tall and sturdy. Their eyes flashed, and they emitted a ferocious aura like that of a wild beast. 3 waves of completion leveled spiritual energy surged out of the 3 leaders' bodies and spread out in all directions. Very good. There are no disciples of the 2 demonic sects within a radius of 20 to 30 miles. The man in the lead muttered as he looked at the dark sky and the flat plains. As he spoke, the muscles on his face slightly twisted and turned into a middle-aged man with a calm expression. The muscles on his right arm shrank, like a withered arm bone hanging on his shoulder. It was the eldest senior brother of the body refining pavilion's current generation of disciples, Li Qianfeng. The rest of the people's muscles also wriggled and turned back to their original appearances. Each of them emitted surging blood qi energy. There was a faint light flashing in their bodies. Zhao Qiming, Duan Yun, Li Kuei, Gao Yong. These 29 people were the 29 first-generation disciples of the body refining pavilion. Qian Jingshan didn't expect that the body refining pavilion would not only send out bone treasure stage body cultivators, but also all of them. Li Qianfeng looked around at everyone and said in a deep voice, "Act according to the plan." Except for Xiangshan, everyone spread out and sweep the first level of the demon stone land and all kinds of demonic materials. Bone treasure stage body cultivators consume a lot of demon stones. The amount of resources collected this time is closely related to your cultivation speed in the next 100 years. You must sweep it clean. 1 month later, we will gather at the center of the Yuan secret realm in the Devil Pool land and enter the second level together. Yes, eldest senior brother. We'll go too. If there are any special situations, contact us through the communication jade talisman. The surrounding body cultivators cupped their fists to Li Qianfeng. Core formation stage spiritual power surged out of their bodies. After identifying the direction, they turned into dozens of escape lights and shot out in all directions. After everyone left, Li Qianfeng looked at a sturdy man wearing beast skin behind him. This person was the forerunner of the demon spirit art, Xiangshan, who had successfully transformed into a half-demon. When Xiangshan successfully entered the blood condensation stage, he found that his situation was different from Fairy Feng Yuan. The transformation into a half-demon didn't happen in an instant. Instead, it took a long time. When he just entered the blood condensation stage, he only fused with a trace of demonic beast blood qi energy. Next, he had to repeatedly exchange bones with demonic beasts to transfer blood chi energy into his bones. After a full 10 years, he finally completed this step and officially transformed into a half-demon. His physical aptitude also increased from 4 stars to 5 stars. If it wasn't for the giant spirit bear's low aptitude, the effect would have been even better. There were many descendants of the older generation of cultivators in the body refining pavilion, as well as some family members. Many of them had spiritual roots, but their physiques were extremely poor. When they heard about the characteristics of the demon spirit art, they all rushed into the spirit transforming pavilion. Because of this, the body refining pavilion had also given a lot of resources to the spirit refining pavilion. Xiong Shan, the pioneer, had successfully entered the bone treasure stage with his own aptitude and the help of the body refining seniors. Li Qianfeng looked at this young junior brother with a curious gaze and said, "Junior brother Xiong, the pavilion master said that you're looking for a suitable demonic beast. Could it be that the demon spirit art can absorb the bloodline of demonic beasts?" Xiong Shan smiled. "I'm not sure if I can absorb demonic beast blood. Demonic beasts help me cultivate blood demon force." Blood demon force? Li Qianfeng was surprised. Xiong Shan explained, "Junior apprentice brother carefully studied the blood demon bone refining art. I found that the demon spirit art's magic power is special. It doesn't have a good effect on blood demon force. I studied several related arts. If I borrow demonic beasts, I might be able to cultivate blood demon force that completely contradicts each other." Li Qianfeng nodded. Blood demon force is the opposite of traditional magic power. The energy cultivated by the spirit transformation art is a combination of magic power and demonic spiritual power. Xiong Shan sighed. Unfortunately, primitive demonic beasts are rare in the outside world. Most of them are hybrids with demonic beasts or were modified by demonic cultivators. They are not suitable for demon spirit art research. According to Pavilion Master, there are still demonic beast blood left in the Yuan secret realm. Li Qianfeng's hand flashed and a jade slip appeared. He looked through it carefully and said, "Yes, there are many demonic beasts in the first level of the secret realm. Your blood demon force is at the foundation establishment stage. You want a peak level 4 demonic beast, right?" "Yes, senior apprentice brother. Since that's the case, let's capture all demonic beasts above level 4. Li Qianfeng's body surged with a rich fire attribute magic power. The light wrapped around Xiong Shan and shot off in a certain direction. After a while, the light became faintly discernible and disappeared into the dusky sky. In the second level of the Yuan secret realm, 3 men and a woman appeared in a valley filled with dark fog. The 4 of them were skinny and looked weak. However, their bodies emitted an extremely sharp sword aura. They were the 4 core formation stage sword cultivators of the Sky Sword Pavilion. The leader was a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance. His body emitted a surging sword aura like a sharp sword. This person was Dugu Yiming, the creator of the demonic sword art and the blood demon sword embryo. His talent was amazing. After solving the problem of strengthening his meridians, his cultivation progressed at an astonishing speed. As early as 30 years ago, Dugu Yiming rushed into the great circle of the core formation stage in one go. The extremely dense demonic sword aura in his body even produced a trace of sharpness that only nascent soul stage sword cultivators could use. His battle strength was not inferior to Li Qianfeng and the others. In fact, his attack power was even higher. If Dugu Yiming broke through to the nascent soul stage, the demonic sword aura in his body would be sharper than the older nascent soul stage sword cultivators. In addition to the demonic sword aura, the meridians in his body had also been strengthened to a critical point. Even if he used the blood demon sword to devour a 7th level peak demonic beast, it would still be difficult to improve. Although the current strength of his meridians could support the demonic sword aura, Dugu Yiming was not a reckless person. He wanted to break through the shackles of his meridians first and then try to condense his nascent soul. Dugu Yiming was not confident in dealing with an 8th-level demonic beast. Moreover, such high-level demonic beasts all hid in the depths of the outer sea and were difficult to find. However, in the 2nd level of the Yuan secret realm, there was a 7th-level peak demonic beast. The demonic beast's body was stronger than ordinary demonic beasts. After the blood demon sword devoured it, it might have a miraculous effect. Therefore, these sword cultivators who cultivated the demonic sword art were all sent to the Yuan secret realm by Lu Kuan. On one hand, they could collect cultivation resources. On the other hand, they could also assist Li Qianfeng and the others. The attack power of these 4 people far exceeded that of cultivators of the same level, but their bodies were too fragile. However, if they were together with a bone treasure stage body cultivator, the strength of both sides was not as simple as 1 + 1. Dugu Yiming used his divine sense to explore the surroundings and said in a deep voice, "Let's first sweep the outer area of the demonic cultivator's cave. After a month, we will meet up with those body refiner brothers." "Yes, senior brother," the 3 sword cultivators behind him said respectfully. Next, Dugu Yiming patted a spirit beast bag on his waist. A golden ape landed in front of everyone, scratching its ears and cheek. It seemed to be quite excited. Dugu Yiming said with a bit of respect, "Marshal Uncle Jean, I'll have to trouble you to help us break the restriction of the ancient demonic cultivator's cave." Squeak, squeak. The little monkey placed its hands on its hips, looking like it was telling Dugu Yiming not to worry. Then, with a flash, it jumped onto Dugu Yiming's shoulder. The latter took out a jade slip, identified the direction, and waved his hand. "Let's go." A pure demonic sword aura gushed out of the 4 sword cultivators, intertwining into a dark golden sword light and shooting in one direction. Chapter 1190. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. In the center of the first layer of the secret realm, the dusky sky was covered with a layer of dark red luster, illuminating the secret realm within a radius of 10 miles. A double-peak demonic volcano sat in the center, emitting a terrifying temperature. Around the volcano, there were Foundation Establishment stage demonic cultivators gathered in groups of 3 to 5. These people had all paid a hefty price to purchase information on the first level of the secret realm and knew that this was the place with the largest amount of devil stones. They explored the small lava pools, looking for demon stones. As for the volcano, no one dared to approach it. The temperature was astonishing. Even if there were false core demonic cultivators among them, they wouldn't be able to last long. Moreover, these people all knew that there was a demonic beast group called the demonic molten crocodile living in the volcano. In such a hot environment, encountering such a flaming demonic beast was simply seeking death. However, they didn't know that not only had people entered the volcano, but they had also gone deep into the magma. In the depths of the double-peak demonic volcano's magma, in a blazing cave filled with the smell of sulfur, there was a continuous hammering sound. In the center of this huge cave, there was a silver light screen with a diameter of 30 feet. Pure demonic chi overflowed from it, and an exquisite array could be vaguely seen. Around the array, there were more than 20 men and women wearing grayish-black inner armor. They were holding something similar to a mining shovel and digging into the ground. Pieces of demon stones containing pure demonic chi exploded from the ground, then were absorbed into storage space by rays of light. Nearly 30 demonic beasts with rock-like fiery red scales that resembled crocodiles were all curled up in a corner of the cave. The largest of them was nearly 20 feet long, and the smallest was only a few feet long. Although their bodies were huge, their pitch-black eyes emitted a frightened look as they fearfully looked at these humans. After a full 3 days, the ground of this cavern had been forcefully dug more than 6 feet deep. The demonic chi on the ground had become very sparse, and the silver formation was suspended in the air by a single pillar. Li Qianfeng shook his arm and put away the mining shovel. He smiled and said, I didn't expect there to be more than 300,000 demon stones here. Zhao Qiming, who was at the side, nodded gently and said, We didn't waste this month. We almost cleared out all the magic stones on this floor. In total, there are over 1 million magic stones. Everyone can get over 30,000 magic stones. The surrounding body cultivators all looked excited, especially the early-stage bone treasure disciples. Although the cultivation speed of the blood demon hardened bone technique was amazing, it consumed a lot of devil chi and spirit chi. The body refining pavilion had a vast area and a lot of spirit veins. There were enough middle-level spirit stones, but the magic spirit veins were rare. There were some magic stones produced, but after dividing it among so many treasure bone stage body cultivators, each person only had 1,000 magic stones. With so many magic stones, these early-stage bone treasure body cultivators would only need to cultivate for 30 to 40 years to reach the peak of the early-stage bone treasure realm. Once they reached the middle-stage bone treasure realm, the body refining pavilion would open the magic pool to these disciples, greatly reducing the consumption of magic stones. Li Qianfeng turned his head and looked at the demonic molten crocodile in the corner of the cave. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile as he said, All right, clean up the demon stones and capture all the demonic molten crocodiles here. Yes, senior brother. These strong men directly rushed to the corner of the cave. The group of demonic molten crocodiles let out frightened roars, followed by the sound of heavy blows. These demonic molten crocodiles felt as if they were hammered by countless rocks. Their heads were dizzy. Before they could react, their mouths were forcefully opened and balls of blood with rich qi and blood were stuffed into their mouth. Then the blood in their bodies was frozen by some kind of spell. Their muscles became incomparably stiff and their bodies couldn't move. Only their black eyeballs were moving in fear. Accompanied by rays of light, these demonic molten crocodiles were taken into the storage space of the bone treasure body cultivators. Li Qianfeng's hand flashed and a milky white jade pendant appeared in his hand. Junior brother Dugu should be outside the demonic molten crocodiles. Let's go. Early stage bone treasure body junior brother, pay attention to activating the spirit extinguishing inner armor. The lava there is at least equivalent to the core formation stage's core fire. Yes, senior brother. Next, the group of people held the Yuan jade pendant in their hands and entered the silver formation one by one. Somewhere in the second layer of the concealed realm, 10 core formation demonic molten crocodiles of the blood refining sect were galloping in the air. The two people at the front had profound cultivation and had reached the peak of the core formation stage. If Lu Kuan was here, he would recognize the two people leading the group. One of them was a burly middle-aged man. 300 years ago, he was the Foundation Establishment disciple who cultivated the origin demonic art, Lei Batian. The other tall and thin man was in Su Zihong's group, Zhou Yu, who cultivated the demonic Luo sword art. After so many years, their cultivation had steadily increased. They were only one step away from the nascent soul stage. Zhou Yu held a jade slip in his hand and said with a worried expression, Senior Brother Lei, the Grand Elder's mission is to capture a top-level demonic zombie. Although we have the demonic seed bead, Junior Brother is not the blood devil. It will be difficult for us to exert its full power. 300 years ago, after the trip to the concealed realm, the blood refining sect only lost one blood devil. But in the following decades, everyone except Ma Jie mysteriously disappeared. The blood devil suddenly fell into a state of shortage. Among the new generation of blood devils cultivated by the blood refining sect, only one of them was at the early core formation stage. His cultivation was too weak to activate the demonic seed bead. When Lei Batian heard Zhou Yu's words, the image of the scarred man flashed in his mind. If that person was still alive, he would have reached the peak of the core formation stage by now. He shook his head and said slowly, Junior Brother Zhou, don't worry. the Grand Elder sent his demonic zombie child over. The devil zombies refined by him can fight against nascent soul cultivators with their physical strength alone. Furthermore, apart from you and me, the other 8 junior martial brothers can also activate nascent soul-level defensive spiritual light when they form a formation. Even if we encounter that devil zombie leader, we can still put up a fight. Zhou Yu looked at the spirit beast pouch on Lei Baishan's waist and his eyes lit up. The Grand Elder's demonic zombie child can resist a nascent soul middle stage cultivator? But how can a nascent soul cultivator enter the concealed realm? Lei Batian said, this demonic zombie doesn't have a soul. It's just an empty shell. Its strength lies in its physical body, so it can be brought in. Zhou Yu's expression relaxed. Then junior brother can rest assured. It seems that our sect is the strongest in the second level of the concealed realm. Lei Batian said with a relaxed expression. This time, only 4 sword cultivators from the Sky Sword Pavilion entered the body refining pavilion. No matter how strong Dugu Yiming is, without the help of a body cultivator, he won't be able to defeat us. I hope they don't come and cause trouble. Then, a spirit light flashed in his hand and a jade slip appeared. He identified the restrictions in the surroundings and muttered, in about half a month, we'll be able to reach the center. The Yin-Yang sect should be there as well. If the chaotic valley is buried underground, we'll need the combined strength of 2 core formation cultivators to dig it out in a short time. On the other side of the second level, 2 huge iron-winged demonic eagles were flying in the dark sky. 5 pairs of men and women landed on their back. The leaders were a pair of tall and slender men and women. They looked calm, completely different from the curious disciples around them. These 2 were Yu Fian and Dai Ming, disciples of the Yin-Yang sect who came to the Yiyuan secret realm 300 years ago. They had reached the peak of the core formation realm more than 100 years ago, but they never tried to break through. Dai Ming looked at the scenery below. His eyes flickered as he said, Junior sister, the blood-refining sect is determined to obtain the demonic corpses. We will not participate in the demonic cultivating cave. This time, our target is the demonic cultivation pavilion's secret pavilion. 300 years ago, when the Holy Lord came, he found the hidden pavilion. However, because he didn't have much nascent soul power left, he couldn't open it. Now that I've cultivated the Yin-Yang mother-child method, I've already formed the Yin-Yang nascent soul power. If we can bring back the cultivation method in the hidden pavilion, we'll have done a great service. Yu Fian nodded slightly. Her eyes flashed with excitement. We don't need to care about the devil refining cave. As long as we complete our mission, the Holy Lord will personally help us break through and form the Yin-Yang nascent soul seed. Hearing about the Yin-Yang nascent soul, Dai Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. He smiled and said, That's right. Let's hurry. The chaotic valley still needs to be opened by the 2 sections. As he spoke, a surge of dense demonic energy surged out from under his feet. The iron-winged demonic eagle let out a joyful cry and sped into the distance. Chapter 1191. The disciples of the blood-refining sect were running on a hill covered with weeds. Lei Batian looked at the scenery below and muttered, Another 100 miles and we'll reach the Dream Devil Plain. After that, we'll arrive at the Chaos Valley. Zhou Yu was beside him, rubbing a milky white jade bracelet in his hand. The light on the bracelet flickered as he said, The Yin-Yang sect's communication jade talisman has already reacted. We're getting closer and closer. Maybe they'll arrive even earlier. Rumble? At this moment, a deafening rumble sounded in everyone's ears. It was as if the entire world was raging. The disciples of the blood-refining sect couldn't help but slow down. Then, a silver light shone in the sky, revealing a vast and boundless restrictive light. It illuminated the ground of the second level of the secret realm. However, this silver light was like a flash of lightning. It only appeared for 1 or 2 breaths before it disappeared. The world fell into darkness again. What just happened? Why was there thunder? The secret realm is different from the outside world. It can't form a natural thunderstorm. Something happened in the sky. Is someone attacking the entrance of the secret realm from the outside? Wait, did you notice that the surrounding demonic chi is flowing in one direction? It seems so. Hey, look over there. Everyone followed the disciple's hand and looked to the east. Through some broken restrictions, they could vaguely see an area emitting red light in the distance. Dense demonic chi was converging in that direction, forming a black funnel cloud in the sky. A phenomenon in the secret realm. When the Chaos Valley first appeared, I heard that there was a similar phenomenon. Zhou Yu's mind flashed as he suddenly realized something. He said excitedly. When Lei Batian heard this, demonic light surged in his hand and a jade slip appeared. He used his divine sense to compare the scene in the distance and muttered, according to the sect's records, that should be the lava cave. It's one of the places where the true demonic water is purified. However, there are nearly 20 high-level demonic beasts living in the cave. In the lava environment, these demonic beasts have amazing abilities. No one wants to provoke them. Then, he thought of something and frowned. Strange. This scene is a bit like the phenomenon of a demonic cultivator breaking through to the nascent soul realm. Zhou Yu was stunned. Breakthrough? Could it be that the molten fiend alligator broke through to the 8th grade? But I've never heard of a magical beast of this level appearing in the secret realm. Lei Batian hesitated for a moment before he gritted his teeth and said, "We can't ignore this kind of opportunity. Let's go and take a look. Let's go." After saying that, he waved one hand and the magic power in his body surged. He took everyone's escape light and drew an arc in the air, flying toward the east. For these core formation stage cultivators, a distance of several dozen kilometers was nothing more than a blink of an eye. However, due to the incomplete restrictions around them, they were unable to use their spiritual sense to investigate from afar. When they arrived near the red light area, the scene of the lava catacombs entered their field of vision. Under the huge black demonic cloud was a narrow and long valley. From afar, it looked like a crack in the ground. Lava flowed in it, and there were many gray rocks in the middle. In the middle of the small valley, there was a pitch-black cave entrance. There were no fiend molten crocodiles around, only 4 skinny figures. They were sitting cross-legged above the cave entrance, and each of them had a 4-inch-long gray sword floating in front of their chests. A swordsman from the body refining pavilion? When the blood refining sect saw this scene, they were stunned. At the same time, the middle-aged man with the strongest aura seemed to have noticed something. He opened his eyes and looked at the people outside the small valley. He spat out a word in an extremely cold voice. Scram! As he spoke, he formed a sword seal with his hand and pointed his index finger to the sky. A 3-foot-long dark golden sword chi shot out from the small sword in front of him. A terrifying aura of sharpness soared into the sky, producing a whistling sound as it tore through the air. It shot towards the blood-refining sect cultivators. Lei Batian and Zhou Yu were shocked and angry. They were shocked because of the appearance of a swordsman from the body-refining pavilion. They were angry because of Dugu Yiming's words. He didn't put them in his eyes at all. In the face of this terrifying sword chi, the two didn't dare to be careless. Demonic power surged in their bodies and a short axe and a long sword suddenly appeared. They turned into 2 beams of demonic light and went forward to meet the attack. Who would have thought that the demonic treasures activated by the 2 demonic cultivators at the peak of the core formation realm would spontaneously collapse upon contact with the sword chi? They were sent flying without any resistance. The radiance of the sword chi only dimmed a little. Zhou Yu's pupils suddenly shrank. He clearly sensed that the demonic power in the demonic sword was rapidly shrinking as if it had encountered some kind of natural enemy. Lei Batian also felt the same. He cried out involuntarily. Not good. It's the sharpness of a swordsman. We can't fight against it. brothers, quickly use your secret techniques. Hearing Lei Batian's words, the other 8 blood-refining sect disciples' expressions turned cold. The demonic power in their bodies quickly surged, and a thick layer of blood-red barrier enveloped them. The unique pressure of a nascent soul realm cultivator spread out. Boom! The blood-red and dark golden radiance intertwined. Fortunately, the sword qi didn't contain much demonic power. It only intertwined for a few breaths before it gradually dimmed and dissipated. Zhou Yu wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Dugu Yiming actually cultivated the sharpness of a sword. It's equivalent to half a step into the nascent soul realm. No wonder the body-refining pavilion only sent 4 sword cultivators. Lei Batian looked at the entrance of the demonic lava cave guarded by the sword cultivators. He didn't know why, but he smelled a trace of danger. He decisively said, "Grand Elder's mission is more important. It's not good to become enemies with the body-refining pavilion. Retreat." The others quickly nodded. They maintained the blood-red barrier and fled back the way they came. Lei Batian had heard of Dugu Yiming's fame. Even if he was half a step into the nascent soul realm, his offensive power wouldn't be much different from a true nascent soul realm cultivator. Although the demonic zombie and demonic seed bead could resist the power of a nascent soul realm cultivator, the cost of activating them wasn't small. This was the demonic lava cave. Where did the dozen demonic molten crocodiles go? Were they all killed by the 4 sword cultivators? Or were they trapped in the cave? What was this strange phenomenon? Why were the sword cultivators of the body-refining pavilion guarding this place? All of this made Lei Batian feel that something was amiss. He didn't dare to rashly probe. Not long after the people of the blood-refining sect left, in this small lava valley, besides the 4 sword cultivators, 29 figures appeared out of thin air. They were scattered all over the valley. Their bodies didn't emit any aura. They were the Bone Treasure Realm disciples of the body-refining pavilion. The ones closest to the cave entrance were 2 men and 1 woman. They were Li Qianfeng, Zhao Qiming, and Duan Yiyun. They didn't pay attention to the people of the blood-refining sect. Instead, they quietly looked at the sky. Li Qianfeng's eyes flashed with excitement. Such a demonic phenomenon. It's obvious that martial Uncle Jean has refined his own bone treasure and generated his flesh source strength. Duan Yiyun's face revealed a joyful expression. Pavilion Master's judgment is correct. In the Yiyuan secret realm, heavenly tribulation won't descend. This place is simply prepared for body cultivators who have completed their bone treasure realm. As long as they generate their flesh source strength, they will have enough time to practice their battle skills. Zhao Qiming shook his head and said with a serious expression, "It's not that simple. Without the nourishment of the heavenly tribulation's energy, the flesh source strength can only use half of its divine ability. Otherwise, under the explosion of the half-fused demonic energy, the bone treasure will be destroyed by the terrifying destructive power and die without a burial place. We have to be more careful when practicing our battle skills in this state." Li Qianfeng took a deep breath and said, "You're thinking too far ahead. The most important thing now is to complete the first step. Now that martial Uncle Jean has succeeded, the next step is up to us." Although the body-refining pavilion is supported by the Pavilion Master's prestige, without enough bone transformation realm body cultivators, it can't be considered a true rise. We must not fail. The eyes of the 3 body cultivators who had completed their bone treasure realm blossomed with determination. Chapter 1192. At the entrance of the lava catacombs, a monkey's hands were hanging on a protruding rock, swaying left and right. If one looked closely, they would notice that the monkey's arms were not in direct contact with the rock. There was a gap of more than a foot between the two. The air there was slightly distorted, as if it was filled with a layer of invisible force. This monkey was Xiao Jin, who had successfully broken through. Flowing in its body was the long-armed ape monkey's 6-eared macaque bloodline. Although it had not condensed a Yao core, the demonic spiritual energy in its body was extraordinary. Its purity was far beyond that of ordinary demonic beasts. It had spent many years repeatedly purifying its energy. Its energy level was no less than qi and blood demonic energy. With the help of Xueming's thoughts, its resistance to qi and blood demonic energy was even stronger than Lu Kuan's. The first hurdle of breaking through the bone transformation stage was not particularly difficult for it. It had successfully formed the origin power of its physical body. As there was no heaven's tribulation, the demonic energy in its body was in a semi-integrated state. At this time, it could only release half of its original force field. If it passed the heaven's tribulation, Xiao Jin, who also had a 9-star physique, would be like Lu Kuan. He would be able to control a passive force field with a range of 3 feet. The use of physical cultivation techniques would become incomparably smooth. Many years ago, due to its fear of heaven's tribulation, the little monkey was later than Zhao Qintian and the others to break through. It was depressed in its heart. This time, it was fully prepared and took the lead to break through. It was to test whether the Yuan secret realm could block out heaven's tribulation as Lu Kuan had predicted. In the end, it was daunting but not dangerous. Although it heard the roar of thunder, there was no heaven's tribulation. This secret realm could indeed block the senses of heaven and earth. After breaking through, Xiao Jin's appearance had changed quite a bit. Its height had grown to 3 feet, and its fur had turned dark gold. The small meatballs outside its ears had also stretched out. It looked like it could become 4 ears. Although it had successfully broken through, the little monkey did not seem to be in a good mood. Its dark gold brows were tightly knitted together, and its eyes were filled with confusion and fear. Not long ago, when it broke through, many fragments of memories suddenly appeared in its mind. It transformed into a handsome ape and fought with another ape. In his memory, it seemed to be proficient in all kinds of Dharma spells of the immortal cultivators. It could control the spiritual qi of heaven and earth with a raise of its hand and cast out earth-shattering Dharma spells and divine powers. Its physical body was not too weak either. It attacked with a long black stick. Not only did its opponent look exactly the same as it, even its divine ability and staff were exactly the same. Could that monkey be the wise stone monkey that Lu Kuan mentioned before? Why is it like this? Why do I have to fight to the death with my own race? After Xiao Jin broke through, he had the ability to speak the human language. He murmured softly. In my memory, the blood in my body seemed to be burning. My heart was filled with endless resentment and helplessness, as if I was berating the unfairness of the world. It thought for a long time and shook its head. Let's not think about it anymore. I'll tell Lu Kuan when we get out. He might know the reason. Then, the little monkey continued to sway. Its consciousness sank into its body, and a layer of faint silver light appeared outside its body. The passive origin energy field changed all kinds of shapes on the surface of its body. In the other corners of the cave, there were 3 semicircular formations that were about 10 feet long. Their surface flashed with rich spiritual light. In addition to having a certain degree of defensive power, they also provided spiritual qi of different attributes through the spirit stones embedded in them. In one of the light screens of the formations, Duan Yun sat cross-legged with her palms facing each other. There was a dark golden stone the size of a walnut in her hands. Strands of bright golden spiritual light were constantly gushing out of the stone and being absorbed into her body. Martial Uncle Huang has the demonic gold body. The metal attribute magic power that he cultivates has an amazing restraining effect on demonic power. That's why he can block the demonic qi and blood. Although my magic power is sharper than Martial Uncle's, there is still a gap in terms of suppressing the demonic attribute. Only with the help of the sharp power of the 7th metal stone can I temporarily strengthen the metal attribute magic power in my body to an extremely pure state. As the thought flashed through her mind, Duan Yun's casting speed gradually increased. Her expression gradually became a little painful, and the black clothes she wore fluttered without wind. Chi. Suddenly, an invisible sword chi that exuded a terrifying aura tore her sleeves and shot out from her arm. The next moment, the white and tender skin on her forearm also cracked open a deep flesh wound that exposed the bone. This sword chi seemed to have a head. Countless sword chi gushed out from her skin one after another. Fortunately, they were still under Duan Iyun's control. After flying a few feet away from her body, they stopped and then slowly rolled back. Her body was like a sword sheath, restraining these sword chi. The terrifying aura of the magic power of the sword gradually disappeared, but her body shook more violently. Inch by inch, her skin cracked open one after another. The sharp power of the seventh metal stone is a treasure that can only be absorbed by a sword cultivator in the middle and late nascent soul stage. I can barely refine it by relying on my sword bones, but I can't support it for too long. The sharpness of my bone magic power is no less than that of a sword cultivator in the middle nascent soul stage. I'd like to see if the demonic chi and blood can swallow this ultimate metal attribute magic power. Duan Iyun's expression became ferocious. A greedy demonic chi gushed out from her body. Her body, which was badly mutilated by the sword chi, began to shrink. The tattered black clothes gradually turned into strips of cloth and slid down from her body, revealing a slightly trembling pale golden human skeleton. Zhao Qiming lay in the deepest part of the cave in the formation shield. He had already turned into a human skeleton that exuded 5 kinds of luster. The torso bones and skull were pale green. His left and right arms were exuding red and blue. As for the bones of his legs, they were flashing pale gold and earthy yellow. After an unknown period of time, these different bone areas gushed out 5-colored mist. They began to blend with each other and soon turned into a 5-colored light mist, clinging to the surface of the bones. The temporary fusion of the 5 kinds of poison magic power formed in a short period of time. I'm afraid it's no less than the chaotic power that the pavilion master said. Zhao Qiming, as the second senior brother of the current generation of body cultivators, naturally knew the 5 elements body refining technique that Lu Kuan taught to Gao Yong. That technique was to cultivate the 5 elements chaotic magic power, so as to compete with the demonic chi and blood power. He had 3 spiritual roots of water, fire, and wood. When he entered the bone treasure stage with the poisonous wood refining technique, the attributes of his bones had already been fixed. It was almost impossible to cultivate the 5 elements chaotic magic power. After many years of research with many senior and junior brothers, Zhao Qiming found a compromise. The whole torso, namely the skull, torso bones, shoulder blades, and pelvis, remained the same as the poisonous wood attribute. The 4 limbs bones were washed with the demonic chi and blood power. The arms were turned into the fire and water attributes respectively. As for the legs, the kneecaps were refined with the tool spiritual root technique to form the metal and earth attribute spiritual roots, and the leg bones were turned into the metal and earth attribute. Then, the 4 kinds of poison magic power were cultivated in the bones of the 4 limbs. With the help of the 5 elements technique, the poison was used as the joint point to fuse them together and temporarily transform them into the 5 elements poisonous magic power. The 2 ancestors of the Zhao family fell on the path of body refining. They used their flesh and blood to pave the way for the future disciples. I, Zhao Qiming, must succeed in breaking through. I will comfort the 2 ancestors of the Zhao family who passed away. The depths of the skeleton that was shrouded in the 5-colored poisonous fog emitted a resolute divine soul fluctuation. In the last formation, Li Qianfeng's naked body was lying on the ground quietly. He recalled the cultivation journey in his heart. He was different from the other disciples of the bone treasure stage. He walked a special path, the demonic body refining technique. The bones that were nurtured in his body were not magic treasures, but demonic treasures. He did not cultivate the demonic blood bone refining technique. He used the special energy produced by the demonic arm to refine his bones. Over the years, Li Qianfeng discovered something special about the demonic qi and blood power. It devoured the immortal cultivator's golden core and destroyed it, producing a kind of destructive energy to refine the flesh and bones. But if it was the demonic cultivator's demonic golden core, it would produce another kind of positive energy for the demonic bones. This kind of energy nourished the bones beyond imagination. These two methods were like the two stages of cultivation of the ordinary bone treasure stage body cultivators. The demonic blood bone refining technique refined the bones, and the magic power nourished the bones. The purer the demonic pill, the better the nourishment effect. According to Lu Kuan's judgment, this special energy was likely the energy of the ancient demon race. It was the demonic energy that truly refined the flesh. In the process of the body refining pavilion's territory development, Li Qianfeng and Dugu Yiming had been running on the front line of the killing. They obtained a large number of golden cores, and their cultivation speed was astonishing. They were the first to enter the bone treasure stage. Even so, the risk of him breaking through to the bone transformation stage was far greater than that of other body cultivators. First of all, his body cultivated demonic energy. His bones were also demonic. Although this could make the demonic qi and blood power refine the bone treasure faster, this evil energy was also easier to devour the demonic bones and demonic bone power. Secondly, there was the problem of the demonic energy. After other body cultivators succeeded in refining their own bodies, the demonic energy of the demonic bones and demonic qi and blood power would be half fused together, forming the demonic energy unique to the bone transformation stage body cultivators. In his body there was the same source of energy. If the demonic qi and blood power refined the bone treasure and fused with the demonic bone power, it might produce an even stronger demonic qi and blood power. When the source power of the flesh was produced, it might be the time when the bones died. Li Qianfeng raised his right arm and looked at the withered arm. He whispered in his heart, "The only opportunity is on this demonic arm." The demonic arm is not a part of the body. It is a refined dead object. The demonic qi and blood power covet my body, but it has no intention of devouring the demonic arm. If the source power of the flesh is successfully produced, I must immediately force the demonic qi and blood power into the demonic arm. This is the only way to ensure the preservation of the bone treasure without any damage. Thinking of this, his skin suddenly turned blood red. A layer of faintly discernible flame appeared outside his body, and the surrounding temperature suddenly rose. If it wasn't for the yuan-yang demonic fire left by martial Ant Yuxian, even if I, Li Qianfeng, cultivated the blood thought, I wouldn't have the slightest confidence to dispel the demonic qi and blood power. This layer of flame was the yuan-yang demonic fire left behind after Yuxian's failed breakthrough. Li Qianfeng did not use demonic qi to refine it. Instead, he asked several nascent soul stage seniors of the body refining pavilion to use refining techniques to inject the demonic fire into the demonic bone. He learned the lesson of the seniors and did not let the deviant fire participate in self-refining. Instead, he used it as a trump card to sneak attack the demonic qi and blood power at the critical moment. When the source power of the flesh was produced, he had to use the deviant fire to force the demonic qi and blood power into the demonic arm. As long as the bone treasure was not damaged, the body would be intact. I don't know what will happen to the body if I break through like this. Li Qianfeng was amazed by the pavilion master. He was the most suitable person in this place to isolate the heavenly tribulation. Because the path he took was blocked, his body after producing source power was likely to be a skeleton. If he was in the outside world, it would be too risky to hastily resist the heavenly tribulation in this state. But in the Yuan secret realm, he had enough time to prepare. He still could not imagine what kind of effect the energy bestowed by the heavenly tribulation would have on a body refining demonic cultivator like him, Although the future was full of unknowns, Li Qianfeng's fighting spirit was incomparably high. The Pavilion Master is the front wave of the body-refining river, constantly crashing into the unknown wasteland. We, the disciples of the later wave, cannot cultivate peacefully under his protection. Instead, we must use his momentum to expand the river behind us. Only when the disciples of the later wave continue to expand can the body-refining river become a wide river, or even a vast ocean. Come, blood power and demonic qi. Let's see if you will devour me or if I, Li Qianfeng, will succeed in breaking through. Li Qianfeng's eyes flashed with a blood-red light. An incomparably vigorous demonic qi gushed out from the shriveled right demonic arm. The full body quickly shrank and gradually turned into a dark red skeleton. Chapter 1193. At the center of the second level of the secret realm, the disciples of the blood-refining sect and the Yin-Yang sect had gathered in the air above a mountain range filled with dense demonic qi. They conversed with one another as they dodged their respective restrictions. Does that mean the phenomenon in the sky has something to do with the body-refining pavilion? Dai Ming, the leader of the Yin-Yang sect, asked. Lei Batian was a little hesitant. That's just my guess. After all, Dugu Yiming and the others seem to be guarding the demonic lava cave. They clearly know what's going on inside. Dai Ming's brows furrowed. Regardless, the body-refining pavilion is not something we can afford to offend. Dugu Yiming may not be a body cultivator, but he's clearly very powerful since he's on par with that monster Li Qianfeng. You've made the right decision. Lei Batian sighed. We all have missions to complete. Let's find the chaotic valley first. We'll probably have to spend a lot of time using the mountain earth conveyor technique to dig it out of the ground. Dai Ming looked at the surrounding mountains and rivers and compared them to his memories from 300 years ago. We're already very close. The mountains and rivers within several dozen kilometers of the chaotic valley have all collapsed. It's very easy to identify. Isn't it just up ahead? Wait, something's not right. His spiritual sense seemed to have discovered something, and a surprised expression appeared on his face. We've arrived at the chaotic valley? Wait, why is this an abyss? As they flew over a mountain, the scenery in the distance gradually entered their eyes. This was an extremely vast abyss. Looking from afar, it spanned several dozen kilometers. At this point, the incomplete restrictions in the sky became even more concentrated. Everyone had no choice but to slow down. They arrived at the edge of the abyss and discovered that it was filled with a large amount of faint red mist. It seemed to have the effect of obstructing spiritual sense, preventing them from probing further. Dai Ming looked at the abyss before turning to the surrounding mountains. He couldn't help but say, I remember it clearly. This is definitely the location of the chaotic valley. 300 years ago, the restrictions here malfunctioned, causing the chaotic valley to sink into the ground and be buried by large amounts of rocks. How did it become an abyss now? Lei Batian was also aware of the chaotic valley's situation. There are so many incomplete restrictions in the air above this abyss. Perhaps the restrictions in the chaotic valley underwent a second change, and the terrifying power contained within them erupted all at once, forming this abyss. There are a few mystic realms in the chaotic valley that are most likely at the bottom of this abyss. However, this red mist looks a little strange. Do you have any impression of it, fellow Taoist Dai? Dai Ming frowned and said, From what I remember, the Chaos Valley doesn't have any red mist restrictions, but this aura is a little familiar. As he spoke, he waved his hand and shot out a beam of demonic light. It rolled up a ball of faint red mist not far away and floated in front of him. This mass of red mist seemed to have some intelligence and wanted to rush out of the demonic light. A slight sizzling sound came from it, but unfortunately, the demonic light was extremely dense and the corrosion speed was very slow. It has the property of corroding magic power, but its power is limited. Even a core formation middle stage magic power barrier can resist it. Dai Ming sensed the mist carefully and seemed to think of something. His expression changed slightly as he said, "This mist contains the aura of lifeblood. Could this mist be related to the demonic beast garden?" Lei Batian also absorbed a ball of red mist and said in surprise, "Magical beast garden? Is it also in the chaotic valley? Our sect's jade slips didn't mention this place." Dai Ming took a deep breath and said slowly, "Back then, the chaotic valley required multiple Yuan jade pendants to open. The relationship between our sects wasn't as harmonious as it is now, so we entered the chaotic valley separately. That layer of restriction was the same as the entrance to the Yuan mystic realm. After entering, we were separated into different areas. The Yinyang sect was teleported to a forest called the Demonic Beast Garden." He recalled what happened back then, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes. A large number of core formation stage deformed demonic beasts lived there. Although they had the bodies of wild beasts, part of their bodies was that of humans. It was very strange. These deformed demonic beasts had low intelligence and fought based on their instincts. They didn't know how to use any innate spells. Their abilities were all based on their physical bodies. Their strength and defense were astonishing. When facing a level 5 demonic lizard, we had to attack it several times with our Dharma treasures before we could shatter its scales. Its physical body was stronger than that of normal demonic beasts. He paused for a moment before continuing. They were also proficient in breath concealment technique. They surrounded us unknowingly. The demonic lizard leaders had stronger physical bodies. Fortunately, the human parts of their bodies had low defense and low intelligence. We were scared but not in danger. Speaking of this, he looked at the red mist in front of him and said, "After killing a few demonic beasts, we discovered that the demonic cores in their bodies also contained dense blood essence power apart from demonic power. It was very similar to this mist." He murmured, "Although we don't know where this red mist came from, we can tell that the restriction of the demonic beast garden in the chaotic valley has lost its effect. Those deformed demonic beasts are very likely to be active in the abyss below." Lei Batian pondered for a moment and said, "According to what you said, these deformed demonic beasts have obvious weaknesses. They shouldn't be difficult to deal with. But looking at your expression," Dai Ming smiled bitterly and said, "those demon crocodiles were only the first wave of demon beasts we encountered. They scattered in the middle of the battle. Then came 8 ape men. Their bodies were also made up of human body parts." "Ape men?" Dai Ming nodded. The fear in his eyes deepened. "These ape men's bodies are even more terrifying. That's not all. They also have a strange divine ability that allows them to penetrate demonic power barriers and directly injure the body. As soon as the two sides started fighting, we were at a disadvantage. If it weren't for the Divine Lord activating the power of his nascent soul and blocking their strange divine ability, our bodies would have been shattered. Even so, 2 of our disciples were killed. Fortunately, those 8 men didn't chase after us. That's how we managed to escape." The core formation demonic cultivators here all knew who the Divine Lord Dai Ming mentioned was. Even such a powerhouse with the power of his nascent soul wasn't a match for those 8 men. It was clear how terrifying those 8 men were. For a moment, everyone fell silent. After a while, Dai Ming laughed at himself and said, "I almost forgot. The situation is different now. With our 2 sects working together, we are more than twice as strong as before. If we encounter those 8 men, as long as we activate the power of our nascent soul in time, we can definitely fight them." Lei Batian's expression relaxed when he heard this. He nodded and said, "That's right. The situation is different now. The Blood Refining sect and the Yinyang sect have already formed an alliance. If we move together, the risk will naturally be reduced to the lowest. Our sect has a nascent soul-level defensive secret technique. We will be responsible for defense. The demonic arts pavilion you are looking for is next to the devil refining cave. When we find it, we will move separately. Alright, let's do that. After that, the demonic cultivators discussed for a while. The 20 people from the two sects formed a square formation. The 8 blood refining sect disciples were responsible for defense and were ready to activate their nascent soul-level defensive techniques at any time. The Yin-Yang sect disciples used their divine sense to scout the surroundings in pairs to prevent being ambushed by those strange demonic beasts. The 4 leaders with nascent soul-level defensive techniques were on alert at all times. Next, everyone was wrapped in a thick layer of defensive spiritual light and flew into the red mist. Chapter 1194. In the middle region of the state of Qi, outside the entrance of the Yuan secret realm, the remaining nascent soul cultivators were looking up at the sky. The originally cloudless sky was now covered with a large patch of dark clouds, causing the entire area to become extremely dark. However, these dark clouds seemed to have lost some sort of cohesion, and the dark clouds were gradually dissipating. Even so, the destructive power emitted from them still shocked the people below. It's a bit like the lightning tribulation, but its aura is much more terrifying. It's facing the Yuan secret realm. Could it be that some top-level demon beast has broken through to the 8th grade in the secret realm? Qian Jingshan muttered. Su Junwen floated beside him and frowned. According to what I know, demonic beasts that break through to the 8th grade do not have the ability to transform into human form. I'm afraid that demonic beasts cannot cultivate in the demonic Qi environment in the secret realm. Qian Jingshan shook his head. Although there are many purebred demonic beasts in the secret realm, there are still many demonic beasts that can trigger the lightning tribulation. It's a pity that the Yuan secret realm seems to be able to isolate the lightning tribulation. Without the baptism of the lightning tribulation, demonic beasts cannot truly break through. Su Junwen sighed. This lightning tribulation seems to be so powerful. That demonic beast must have a shocking aptitude. What a pity! On the other side of the secret realm's entrance, Lu Kuan and Huang Xiaoyun floated in midair. They looked at the lightning tribulation clouds that were gradually dissipating. Although they were expressionless, they were extremely excited deep in their hearts. The body cultivators had already entered the secret realm for more than a month, and the aura of the lightning tribulation clouds was even stronger than that of Huang Xiaoyun and the rest. It was obviously triggered by Xiao Jin's successful breakthrough. Just as Lu Kuan had deduced, the Yuan secret realm could isolate the lightning tribulation. They were very clear about what this meant to the body refining pavilion. If a body cultivator who had completed his bone treasure broke through in the Yuan secret realm, it was equivalent to delaying the lightning tribulation for a year. During this year, as long as he did not fully activate his demonic energy, he would have sufficient time to familiarize himself with the origin power of his physical body and imitate the body cultivator's battle technique. After leaving the secret realm, the chances of successfully transcending the tribulation would greatly increase. In other words, the Yuan secret realm was a holy land for body cultivators to transcend the tribulation. Lu Kuan raised his head and looked at the dissipating dark clouds. He already had a plan in mind. Anything that could increase the number of people in the bone transformation stage was something that the body refining pavilion was determined to obtain. After 300 years, there would be no need for outsiders to participate in this secret realm. Xiao Jin has successfully broken through. Now it's up to the other 3 little fellows. He muttered a few words in his heart before he immersed his mind back into his physical body. It had been more than 80 years since Lu Kuan had returned to the southwest. In these years, he had spent almost all of his time in seclusion, and his cultivation had progressed at an unimaginable speed. Originally, Lu Kuan had thought that the amount of life force an internal organ could hold was only the total amount of the body at that time. As one's life force increased, The amount of life force an internal organ could hold would gradually decrease to 90%, 80%, and eventually 50%. But who would have known that 100% of internal organ strength was proportional? In other words, no matter how much his life force increased, his internal organs would still be able to hold it all. This led to the fact that the larger the reserve of life force, the faster his cultivation speed would be. Moreover, this kind of energy was increased by absorbing blood essence. As the concentration of blood essence increased in the middle stage of bone transformation, the cultivation efficiency could not be compared to before. Lu Kuan had cultivated his life force to the limit more than 10 years ago. The amount of life force he could store had doubled. On the other hand, the strength of his blood had increased. It had only reached its limit a year ago. Now, his blood was like a surging tide, rushing through his blood vessels. It could even make the roaring sound of a tsunami. Unlike the changes in muscle strength at the early stage of bone transformation, the concentration of his blood was twice as high. From these aspects, Lu Kuan had already reached the peak of the middle stage of bone transformation. Although his strength didn't increase by much and his blood couldn't store magic energy, his continuous fighting strength had greatly increased. If he overdrew his internal organs, he could even use the demon dragon blade to its maximum power twice. At the same time, the continuous defensive power of his body was even more amazing. When facing a spirit-severing stage cultivator again, Lu Kuan's confidence had increased by a lot. The opportunity for blood cultivation is in the tendons, but the breakthrough point for transforming into bones is in the joints of the whole body. The more than 200 bones in the human body were all connected through joint. However, some were dynamic joints and some were static joints. There was a layer of cartilage between these joints to reduce friction between them. The cartilage was much stronger than the dense and loose bones. It was the most suitable entry point for blood to transform bones. For blood to transform into bones, it was impossible to directly transform it into the dense and hard bones. It had to penetrate through the joints and then transform through the transformation method he comprehended from the devil-ape transformation. If successful, the blood inside the bones would gradually transition from the relatively soft cancellous bone to the hard and dense bone to achieve the expansion of the bones. According to Lu Kuan's deduction, after the breakthrough, the blood could even temporarily grow bone spurs with the joints of the bones as node. Although I have a clear idea, my bones are too strong, Lu Kuan showed a bit of helplessness. He tried to break through not long ago, but it ended in failure. The blood smoothly entered the bones from the joints, but in the process of transforming the bones, it was hindered by the silver dragon meteorite in the bones. This material increased the hardness of the bone treasure, but in the process of transforming the bones, it crushed the latter, causing new bones to be unable to form. Lu Kuan was distressed. The silver dragon meteorite allowed him to use Transcendence World at the middle stage of bone transformation, increasing the defense of his bones. Although it increased his fighting strength, it also greatly increased the difficulty of breaking through. If the blood could be strengthened by 20%, it might be able to break through the compression of the silver dragon meteorite and grow new bones. But now, even if I cultivate in the state of the devil-ape transformation, the blood can't be strengthened at all. With the body as one, the blood refers to the strength of my bones. The silver dragon meteorite didn't spread to the blood. The only thing I can do now is to find a way to use external forces to increase the strength of the blood. But what can strengthen the blood? Lu Kuan floated in the air, lost in thought. Time slowly passed. After about half a month, a thunderclap in the sky awakened everyone at the entrance of the mystic realm. At the same time, it also interrupted Lu Kuan's thoughts. A tribulation cloud that was much smaller than before slowly gathered in the sky above the mystic realm. Another disciple has succeeded. Just as this sentence appeared in his heart, 2 more thunderclaps sounded in the sky. A few thunderclaps were incessant. The restriction at the entrance of the Yuan mystic realm flashed with a bright silver light. A lot of demonic chi was forced out by the power of the tribulation cloud and gathered in the sky. Lu Kuan saw this scene and was stunned for a moment. Then, his eyes flashed with surprise. Good guys, all three of them succeeded. Huang Xiaoyun beside him was so excited that his body trembled. With the aptitude of these three disciples, plus more than 9 months of buffer time, the probability of passing the tribulation was very high. This meant that the body refining pavilion would soon have 3 more bone transformation body cultivators. Lu Kuan's lips moved slightly, and he sent a message with his consciousness. Xiaoyun, hurry back to the body refining pavilion now and ask Brother Yu and Fairy Fong Yuan to come. When these disciples leave the mystic realm, the tribulation will come again. We will guard them together. Yes, Master. Huang Xiaoyun couldn't hide his excitement. The demonic qi in his body surged, and he directly turned into a sword light, shooting toward the south. The strange movement of the tribulation lightning in the sky, and the strange behavior of the 2 people in the body refining pavilion, attracted the attention of Qian Jingshan and Su Junwen. They looked at each other, and couldn't help but fly toward Lu Kuan. Chapter 1195. In the lava cave, Xiao Jin, Duan Yun, and Zhao Qiming stood in a circle, looking at the figure lying on the ground. Li Qianfeng's skinny right demonic arm had swelled several times. Huge lumps of muscle were trembling on it, looking abnormally ferocious. His once strong body had turned into a bag of bones. There was a faint layer of invisible force field on his skin. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to notice it. Suddenly, a strong blood qi rolled around the joints of his right arm. Countless small snakes drilled out of the demonic arm and poured into the withered body. As time passed, muscles gradually appeared, and his body slowly filled up. At the same time, the invisible force field on the surface of his skin also spread out. 1 inch, 2 inches, 5 inches, 8 inches, it grew until it reached 1 foot and 2 inches before stopping. However, this layer of force field didn't appear on the demonic arm. At the same time, his body stopped expanding. Although it was much stronger, it was still thin and weak compared to before. After a while, Li Qianfeng opened his eyes. His body spun and floated in the air. His eyes flashed with relief. The adjustment is finally over. This state should be fine. Zhao Qiming looked at Li Qianfeng's thin and weak body and said with some worry, "Senior brother, there seems to be something wrong with your current physical body. The range of your passive origin energy field is more than a foot, which is equivalent to using all your origin energy. Won't this damage your bone treasure?" Like Li Qianfeng, he had a 4-star physique. The maximum range of his source force field was a little more than 1 foot. In order to prevent his demon energy from going out of control, he didn't use his demon energy at full power and maintained the source force field within 6 inches. "Don't worry, there won't be a problem." Li Qianfeng sighed. "When I really broke through, I discovered the difference between a demonic body cultivation technique and an orthodox body cultivation technique." Hearing this, not to mention Duan Yun and Zhao Qiming, even Xiao Jin's 4 ears perked up. Their faces were full of curiosity. Li Qianfeng felt the energy in his body and said slowly, "The moment the physical body's source strength was formed, the demonic energy in my blood qi merged with the demonic energy in my bones as predicted. Who knew that demonic energy would be born at this time? No, it should be called true demonic energy." True demonic energy? Is Senior Apprentice Brother talking about the energy produced by the devil arm swallowing the devil core? Li Qianfeng first nodded, then shook his head. After organizing his thoughts, he said, "Pavilion Master once told me that the ancient demon race's cultivation system is actually similar to our human race's. There are demon cores and demon infants. The reason why their bodies are so strong is because of the special power technique, which produces a kind of special energy wandering in the flesh and blood, which can continuously enhance the physical strength of the body. It is called demon energy by the ancient Yuan school. Every demon is equivalent to a dual cultivator of body and energy. At the same level, immortal cultivators are naturally no match for them. Now it seems that my body produces this kind of energy. It seems to be even purer than the demon races. After a traditional body cultivator enters the bone transformation stage, they use the power of destruction to temper their body. Body-refining demon arts use the relatively gentle energy of demon energy to enhance their strength. Zhao Qiming looked at Li Qianfeng's thin body and deformed devil arm and couldn't help but ask, "So, this is very good for the body, but senior apprentice brother only transferred back half of the demonic energy. Is there some kind of flaw in this demonic energy?" Li Qianfeng smiled wryly and said, "Although it has a significant effect in enhancing the body, it is an unusually delicious food for the demonic energy of blood and blood. With its blessing, the energy level of the demonic energy of blood and blood will be greatly enhanced in a short time. If I didn't burst out with all the Yuanyang devil fire and squeeze it into the devil arm in one breath, I'm afraid this evil energy would have been enhanced to a terrifying level and devoured all the demon bones in my body. But the source power of the body needs a mixture of demonic energy of blood and demonic energy of bones to be continuously stimulated. So, I tried to release demonic energy of blood and blood from the devil arm, but this evil energy can't produce demonic energy with demonic energy of bones if it is less than half. As for the source power of the body, it seems that it only needs half of demonic energy of blood and blood to be fully exerted. It should be because the two energy attributes are of the same origin and the degree of fusion is much higher than yours." As he spoke, a layer of blood-red light film appeared on the surface of his body. Stream-like lines flowed endlessly within a foot of his body. Duan Yi was pleasantly surprised and said, "Doesn't that mean that senior brother can now exert the true strength of a bone transformation stage body cultivator?" Li Qianfeng shook his head and sighed. "The demonic energy of blood and blood cultivated by body-refining demonic arts is quite special. The demonic energy of blood and blood that is forced away also takes away half of the essence of the flesh. Although I can fully exert my source power battle skills, my physical strength is only 250 kilograms. It is the same as when my bone treasure was completed. My real combat strength is not as good as yours. My physical strength has been reduced by half," Zhao Qiming murmured. After he and Duan Yiyun broke through, their physical strength directly skyrocketed from 250 kilograms to 500,000 kilograms. Xiao Jin's bloodline aptitude was strong, reaching 600,000 kilograms. When a normal body cultivator entered the bone transformation stage, their physical strength was at the level of 500,000 kilograms. In other words, Li Qianfeng could only enter the strongest state by releasing all of his demonic energy of blood and blood. But at this time, he was faced with the threat of demonic energy of blood and blood. He said with some worry, "Then senior brother's tribulation." Li Qianfeng raised his ferocious and thick demonic arm and said, "When I transcend the tribulation, I will naturally release the remaining half of my demonic energy of blood and blood, allowing my physical strength and source power to enter the peak state." Speaking of this, his expression became dignified. The demonic bone that the Yuanyang demonic fire resides in has been refined, and it is fully suppressing the demonic energy of blood and blood. There are already signs of it being refined, and there is no way to force out the demonic energy of blood and blood a second time. Once you release the energy in the demonic arm, there is no turning back. The longer this state, the easier it is for the demonic energy of blood and blood to devour the demonic bone. The only hope of solving this problem is the life force bestowed by the heavenly tribulation thunder. Life force, Li Qianfeng said, Pavilion Master said that the bone transformation stage body cultivator broke some kind of balance between heaven and earth, so the heavenly tribulation thunder sent down to destroy them. But in the dark, there will be a trace of life left. The worldly liquid bestowed by the monster transformation tribulation is the energy that stabilizes the dantian and meridians when they transform into human form. The life force helps the body cultivator stabilize the hidden danger of the demonic energy eruption. For body refinement demonic arts cultivators, if the life force really contains life force, then it can definitely maintain the balance between the demonic energy of blood and the demonic energy of bones. When the others heard this, they all fell silent. The bone transformation stage was indeed the greatest obstacle for body cultivators. If a normal body cultivator failed to transcend the tribulation, their bones would be destroyed by the violent destructive power. If a body refinement demonic art cultivator failed, their physical body would be swallowed by the greatly increased demonic energy of blood, and not even their bones would be left. If others helped to break the tribulation thunder, they would lose the infusion of life force and die. They could only rely on their own strength. Li Qianfeng took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "For this trip to the Yuan's secret realm, Pavilion Master has created the best conditions for us to break through. We have a great chance." When the other two body cultivators heard this, they clenched their fists at the same time. Xiao Jin looked at the three disciples who were on the verge of breaking through and excitedly rubbed its monkey hands. It spoke in a clear and urgent voice, "Let's hurry. That old zombie Hong Yuntian has a body of origin power. It's a good opportunity for us to practice. Only through real combat can we quickly improve our body cultivator battle technique." "Yes, Marshal Uncle Jean. The Chaos Valley isn't far from here. We'll be there soon. Senior Hong is sealed at the bottom of the Chaos Valley. It might be a little troublesome for us to open the seal. After all, the cultivation method that Pavilion Master took from the Yin-Yang sect requires the power of a nascent soul to activate." "Haha, don't worry. I heard that the blood refining sect will be going to the Chaos Valley with the Yin-Yang sect. We can just force them to open the seal." Chapter 1196. In the center of the second layer of the secret realm, the core formation demonic cultivators of the blood refining sect and the Yin-Yang sect were slowly flying above the unknown abyss. This was a barren valley with broken restrictions and broken rocks scattered everywhere. Apart from these, there was only the thick red mist. The mist at the bottom was much thicker than above the abyss, and its corrosive power was also much stronger. However, for the elite disciples of the two sects, the combined demonic barrier could easily resist it. Lei Batian was in the center of the group. Threads of black demonic light flashed in front of him. They intersected with each other to form a circular map of the valley. He looked around and finally looked at the top of the map. There was a blood-red light flashing there. He said in a low voice, "Apart from that strange stone forest, we've checked the bottom of the abyss. There are no demonic beasts, no strange restrictions, and no devil-refining cave or demonic arts pavilion. It seems that we have to take the risk and enter the stone forest to search." Dai Ming said with a serious expression, "Although the stone forest is only 2 or 3 miles wide, it's the source of the blood mist in the abyss. The corrosive power of the mist alone is twice as strong as the outside. The blood mist and the strange demonic beasts have the same source of energy. If all the demonic beasts are inside, I'm afraid we won't be able to move freely." At this point, he stopped talking. At the edge of everyone's vision, there was a blood-red light. As they got closer, they realized that the blood-red mist had reached a very dense level. From the dense mist, they could barely see the shadows of various stone pillars. It was like the giant mouth of a prehistoric beast, emitting a bloody and dangerous aura. Lei Batian waved his hand, and the map in front of him turned into specks of demonic light and disappeared. He looked into the distance and said, "Fellow Taoist Dai, didn't we discuss this? We'll set up a formation outside the stone forest and slowly go deeper. If there aren't many demonic beasts, we'll go all out to kill them. If we can't defeat them, we'll retreat to the edge of the stone forest and use the formation as a base to recover our demonic power. We'll take turns to defend. Dai Ming frowned. Although he still felt uneasy, he had to enter the stone forest to find the demonic arts pavilion. Setting up a formation outside was the safest method. It had been a month since they entered the abyss. Only this stone forest, which was emitting a dangerous aura and occupied a small part of the bottom of the abyss, they didn't rashly enter. The other areas of the abyss had been explored twice and were barren. They only dared to explore this stone forest after making sure that there were no devil zombies or devil beasts in other places and that they wouldn't be attacked from both sides. Dai Ming thought for a moment and said, "If the bottom of the abyss is the Chaos Valley, then the arrays in the valley are all broken. I'm afraid the same is true for the restrictions in the demon cave. Perhaps there are demon beasts and demon zombies in this stone forest. Among the demonic beasts there are those abnormal 8-man monsters, and from the battle 300 years ago, there are still 2 top-level demonic zombies left. Together with the demonic zombie leader, their combined strength is too terrifying. Just the defensive formation alone is not enough. Our sect has also brought along the Yin-Yang Revolution formation. With the help of a few disciples, it has a powerful illusory ability that can even confuse nascent soul cultivators. It should be very effective. Unfortunately, the corrosive power of the mist in the stone forest is too strong. The formation cannot be concealed and will continue to be damaged. Otherwise, the safest way would be to set up a formation one step at a time. Lei Baishan's expression was more serious. Then let's set up a few more formations. There's no rush to go deeper. The restrictions are intertwined. If the enemy is too strong, we'll use the power of these formations to fight. We're outside the stone forest. Let's get ready. As they spoke, the group had already landed a few dozen feet away from the stone forest. After a simple discussion, they began to set up the formations. In this trip to the secret realm, the 7 Fiends sect had already disappeared. Although they had joined the Body Refining Pavilion, an unfamiliar demonic sect, the 3 sects had formed the Southwest Chamber of Commerce together. They were considered allies and would not kill each other. The Yin-Yang sect and the Blood Refining sect, in order to fight against the powerful Body Refining Pavilion, showed signs of working together and trusted each other. Both sides didn't hold back. They laid down almost all of the advanced formations they had brought with them. Outside the stone forest, a barrier of light several hundred feet in diameter was formed. Inside the barrier, there were all kinds of complicated fluctuations of restrictions. As the disciples activated the array formation token in their hands, the restriction fluctuation trembled slightly. Then, it gradually disappeared without a trace. Lei Batian and Dai Ming's expressions relaxed a lot when they saw this. With the high-grade formations of the 2 sects combined together and under their control, even an early nascent soul cultivator would be killed if they entered. Even if the demon zombie leader was in the stone forest, it couldn't be stronger than a nascent soul cultivator. Form the formation from before and enter the stone forest. The disciples of the 2 sects gathered together again and formed a barrier of demonic light. They slowly flew into the stone forest. As soon as they entered the dense fog, all of the disciples could clearly feel the degree of corrosion increase. They could even hear the sizzling sounds of the demonic barrier. Moreover, the suppression on their spiritual sense was even greater. They could only barely sense a few hundred feet away. As everyone entered, Lei Batian, Dai Ming, and the other peak core formation disciples gradually felt an invisible pressure. They felt a little depressed and only felt a lot better after circulating the demonic power in their bodies. On the other hand, the disciples with lower cultivations didn't feel much. Everyone, be careful. There's movement in front. Suddenly, a few disciples of the Yin-Yang sect in charge of scouting cried out in alarm. Lei Batian didn't dare to be careless and decisively said, "Junior brothers, activate your defensive secret techniques." As soon as his voice fell, everyone's black demonic barrier quickly turned blood-red. It seemed to have merged with the surrounding fog, and a profound aura circulated above it. Accompanied by heavy sounds of friction and footsteps, 9 gray-black figures rushed out of the fog and appeared in front of the disciples of the two sections. Everyone focused their eyes and discovered that there were 9 demonic beasts. Each of them was different. There was a huge lizard covered in scales, a demonic wolf that was several feet tall, a huge bear that was incomparably muscular, a ferocious tiger that was covered in steel spikes, and even a wild boar with huge tusks. Although these demonic beasts were of different races, the scales and hair on their bodies were all gray-black. At the same time, there were bone spikes on some of their joints, making them look extremely ferocious. The blood-red fog didn't seem to be harmful to them at all. Some of them even deeply inhaled the fog as if it were air. Lei Batian frowned and said, "Fellow Taoist Dai, these are the demonic beasts of the demonic beast garden? Why are they different from what you said? They don't have human body parts." Dai Ming looked at the huge lizard and said with a heavy expression, "This demonic lizard is almost identical to the ones we encountered except for the color of its head and scales. Although I don't know why they turned into wild beasts, they must have come from the demonic beast garden. It's best to be careful." While the two were talking, these demonic beasts also saw the people inside the blood-red barrier. They seemed to have found some delicious food. Their eyes lit up with a bloodthirsty red light and they rushed towards the group. Roar! Awo! Accompanied by fierce roars, the 9 demonic beasts emitted a strange demonic aura. Each of them was no less than the late core formation realm. There were even a few that were at the peak of the core formation realm. Dai Ming narrowed his eyes and said, "There must be more of them. Let's end this quickly." Lei Batian looked at the incoming demonic beasts and said in a deep voice, "Attack according to the plan." As he spoke, except for the 8 disciples of the blood-refining sect who were maintaining the defensive barrier, the other 12 demonic cultivators all took out their artifacts and rushed forward. They had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. 9 demonic beasts at the peak of the core formation realm were nothing to be afraid of. The 10 artifacts seemed to have found their targets. They scattered into 9 streams of light and whistled as they went to meet the demonic beasts. Chapter 1197. These people's magic treasures were scattered, each facing a different demonic beast. However, Lei Batian and Zhou Yu's magic treasures both rushed towards the demon lizard with the strongest aura. A broken axe and a long sword intertwined in mid-air, and the combined momentum was astonishing. The 3-meter-long demon alligator looked at the incoming magic treasures, and the red light in its eyes became even more dazzling. Its body sank, and its 4 thick legs stomped on the ground. A terrifying brute force surged out, and 4 small pits were blasted out. The huge body of the demon alligator suddenly soared into the air, dodging the attacks of the 2 magic treasures. Indeed, its mental state is low. It doesn't have the slightest bit of skill, and directly exposed its weakness. Seeing this, Lei Batian and Zhou Yu sneered. They changed their hand seals, and the broken axe and long sword that were dodged by the demon lizard were the first to turn around and attack its exposed abdomen. At this moment, a layer of black light film suddenly appeared on the surface of the demon lizard's gray scales, and an invisible wave spread out. For a moment, the air around the short axe and long sword became viscous, as if they had fallen into a quagmire, and their speed was greatly reduced. At this moment, the demon lizard squatted down again, and its thick limbs stomped on the ground, twisting the air under its feet into a blurry arc boom. A sharp sonic boom was heard, and the seemingly bloated body of the demon lizard sprang out in midair. Its speed was even faster than when it was on the ground, and the 2 magic treasures missed again. Boom, 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 the demon lizard seemed to have raised its head, and sonic booms came from all directions. The other 8 demonic beasts also soared into the air, and they were also wrapped in a layer of black light film, and the air around their bodies was distorted. The formless void was like solid ground, and it gave these demonic beasts an amazing reaction force, greatly increasing their explosive speed in short distances. They dodged the magic treasures and rushed towards the group of demonic cultivators. As these demonic beasts ran in the air, a suffocating wave spread out in the stone forest. Everyone unconsciously had goosebumps, as if their bodies had encountered some kind of natural enemy. Dai Ming looked at the black light membrane outside the demonic beast's body and sensed some familiar fluctuations in the air. He immediately associated it with the scene from 300 years ago. He revealed an incredulous expression and said, This is the demonic zombie leader's divine ability." Although his expression was ugly, his reaction was extremely fast. As he spoke, he and Yu Fian formed a mysterious seal at the same time, and 2 extremely deep auras rose from their bodies. At the same time, the black and white dual blades that were attacking the other demonic beasts shone brightly. They fused with each other and turned into a black and white short blade, disappearing in a dazzling spiritual light. In the next moment, it appeared right in front of the demonic lizard, as if it had teleported. The demonic lizard didn't seem to have expected such an unforeseen event. Facing the magic treasure that was right in front of it, it had no time to dodge. However, at this moment, a black membrane of light and an invisible fluctuation appeared in its bloody mouth that was filled with fangs. The dagger magic treasure seemed to be obstructed and stopped slightly. In the distance, Dai Ming and Yu Fian's faces sank. The 2 of them changed their hand seals, and 2 nascent soul stage powers burst out from the black and white daggers at the same time. A terrifying aura shot up into the sky. Qi, the black light and invisible fluctuation in the demonic alligator's mouth shattered like a mirror. The black and white dagger blasted into the demonic alligator's mouth, and the huge lizard's head exploded like a watermelon, splitting into a pile of flesh and blood. The huge corpse fell to the ground. Dai Ming and Yu Fian only took a few breaths of time to deal with the demonic alligator. When they saw the other party fall, they were stunned. Although the demonic alligator was supported by the strange nascent soul stage power of the demonic zombie's head, its defensive power seemed to be much weaker than the top demonic zombie. At this moment, Lei Batian also came back to his senses. He hurriedly said, "Junior Brother Zhou, use the demonic seed bead. These demonic beasts have the nascent soul stage power of the demonic zombie's head. Only the same level of power can resist it. Junior brothers, maintain the defensive mystic technique. We will retreat to the array formation outside the stone forest. The others will try to slow down the demonic beasts as much as possible." Although they killed the demonic alligator, Lei Batian's face was still pale. These demonic beasts were supported by the strange nascent soul stage power, which meant that the demonic zombie's head was very likely behind them. They couldn't continue fighting. The other brothers obeyed his order and moved. They all knew about the demonic zombie's head and knew how terrifying it was. 300 years ago, just 2 top demonic zombies supported by this mysterious power were enough to give the disciples of the 3 demonic sects a headache. Now, there were so many demonic beasts with the same power. Coupled with the unknown terrifying existence, they were in an extremely dangerous situation. Everyone's joint escape light quickly retreated. The demonic cultivators in charge of attacking gave up the power of their magic treasures and used their magic power to speed up. They tried their best to catch up with the demonic beasts whose speed had greatly increased. They fought with them and tried to slow them down. As for Zhou Yu, he was already holding a black demonic bead in his hand. A terrifying demonic aura poured into his body, and the long sword magic treasure he controlled became more powerful. He joined forces with Dai Ming and Yu Fian's magic treasures to attack a huge demonic boar. The demonic boar seemed to know the power of these magic treasures. The black light film on its body flickered incessantly, and the surrounding air rippled. Its fat body flashed nimbly in the air. It was unknown whether it was because of its weight or some other reason, but its short-distance burst speed was much slower than the other demonic beasts. It was only able to dodge a few times before it was hit by 3 magic treasures. After a while, the black light film on its body was broken. Its fat body was blasted with several holes by the magic treasures that contained the power of the nascent soul stage. Its body trembled a few times before it fell to the ground with a plop. In a short time, 2 of the 9 demonic beasts were killed by the 3 people who erupted with the power of the nascent soul stage. However, the magic treasures of the other demonic cultivators were not powerful enough. When they occasionally bombarded the demonic beasts, the impact was first reduced by an invisible wave, and then blocked by the black light film, causing no damage. After Zhou Yu and the other 2 killed the demonic boar, they did not dare to be negligent. They controlled their magic treasures and rushed toward the fastest demonic wolf. Violent energy surged crazily. After several rounds of crisscrossing, the lower half of the demonic wolf was blasted into a pile of scattered flesh and blood. Only 6 of these strange demonic beasts were left. The focus of the blood-red barrier of the 2 demonic cultivators was defense, so its speed was not fast. At this time, the distance between the 2 sides was reduced to 20 feet. Lei Baishan's mind was locked on a spirit beast pouch at his waist. He looked at the edge of the stone forest that was getting closer and closer and said in a deep voice, "The physical strength of these guys is amazing. They are even faster than magic treasures in short bursts. We can't let them get close. Junior Martial Brother Zhou, fellow Taoist Dai, please add the power of the nascent soul stage to the escape light. We can use the formation to deal with the enemies." Zhou Yu and the others had the same idea. Although the defense of these demonic beasts was not as good as the demonic zombies, the power of the nascent soul stage was limited. It was best to conserve as much as possible. As the 3 deep demonic lights poured into the blood-red barrier, the speed of the group increased greatly. Soon, they entered the formation that they had set up before. When the remaining 6 demonic beasts saw this, they let out ferocious roars and rushed over without hesitation. After a while, all kinds of multicolored restriction lights flashed outside the stone forest. The demonic cultivators of the 2 sects took out restriction tokens and used the power of the formation to deal with these strange demonic beasts. Lei Batian and the others looked at the stone forest with vigilance, guarding against the legendary demonic zombie leader. At the same time, the headless demonic lizard, the demonic boar with several holes in its body, and the demonic wolf with only the upper half of its body lay quietly on the ground of the stone forest. The surrounding red mist seemed to be attracted by something and gradually gathered towards them. After a while, a layer of slightly dim black light surged out of these corpses. The lifeless limbs suddenly twitched. Chapter 1198. Rumbling noises came from the black formation. The disciples of the blood-refining sect and the Yin-Yang sect were attacking the remaining 6 strange demonic beasts with the help of the formation they had set up earlier. As soon as these demonic beasts entered the formation, they were surrounded by a black fog that contained a powerful restrictive force. Apart from the dark demonic lightning, the fog was also mixed with strange demonic sounds. Even a late core formation cultivator's mind would be filled with demonic thoughts when they encountered these sounds. However, these 2 restrictive forces had limited effect on the demonic beast. When the dark demonic lightning approached the blurry force field, it twisted and fell into empty space. The demonic thoughts didn't seem to affect the demonic beasts' minds. The bloodthirsty light in their red eyes didn't change at all. They stared at the core of the formation as if they could see where the demonic cultivators were. Although the formation's illusions and offensive abilities were ineffective, the demonic mist's restrictive force reduced the demonic beast's speed by more than half. They couldn't dodge the attacks like they could outside and were bombarded by the magic treasures. Although the formless force field on the surface of their bodies could block spells and abilities, it gradually fell into a disadvantage when faced with the continuous barrage of magic treasures. The black light film dimmed and finally disappeared from the surface of the demonic beasts' bodies. After losing this layer of unique energy, the demonic beast's defensive power was greatly reduced. Soon, a demonic tiger's fur was broken and a large hole appeared in its neck. It fell to the ground, but strangely, no blood flowed out from the wound. The death of a demonic beast meant that several demonic cultivators were freed. The remaining 5 demonic beasts were in imminent danger. At the core of the formation, Leibatian and the other 3 nascent soul-level demonic cultivators didn't attack. Instead, they stared cautiously at the stone forest. After the demonic beasts entered the formation, they were no longer a threat. The legendary demonic zombies were the ones they needed to be careful of. Dai Ming was still looking at the demonic beasts in the formation. He muttered, "Strange. 300 years ago, when we encountered the demonic beasts, they appeared in groups of different races. Why are there 9 different races now?" Part of the human's body disappeared. The terrifying demonic ape also disappeared. This is too strange. Leibatian stared in the direction of the stone forest. He glanced at the array and said, "Taoist Dai, you're still paying attention to these demonic beasts. They have the energy of the demonic zombie leaders. The change must be related to the demonic zombies. Those terrifying humanoid monsters are what we need to guard against." At this point, his expression suddenly changed. "Be careful, something is coming out of the stone forest." Hearing this, everyone looked towards the stone forest. From within the blood-red mist, a huge figure dashed out. It was a strange creature with a pig's head. Behind its head was a lizard's body that was more than 10 feet long. Its grayish-black scales were covered with hair that looked like steel spikes. Its 4 thick limbs were similar to that of a demon lizard, but they were taller than before. Its 4 limbs were triangular, like the enlarged claws of a wolf. The pig-headed monster's eyes were different from other magical beasts. It did not emit a bloodthirsty red light. Instead, it flashed with a human-like luster as it stared in the direction of the disciples of the 2 sections. Being stared at by this pair of eyes, everyone felt goosebumps all over their bodies. They felt a chill run down their spines. What is this thing? Pig's head, lizard's body, wolf's claws and wolf's fur. It looks like the combination of the 3 dead magical beasts. Weren't they killed by Senior Brother? Why is it still alive? Oh no, its speed and strength are even greater. While everyone was still in a daze, the pig-headed monster had already charged into the spell formation. Its body flashed with a black membrane of light. The invisible force field seemed to be flowing, and the demonic mist did not seem to be able to slow it down. Seeing this, Dai Ming said in a low voice, "You guys continue to deal with the remaining magical beasts. Leave this monster to me and Junior Sister." As he spoke, 2 flying daggers, one black and one white, shot into the distance with a dazzling light. The power of the yin-yang nascent soul within the daggers exuded an astonishing aura. Seeing the ferocious attack, the pig-headed monster's pitch-black eyes narrowed slightly. A surge of blood energy surged within its body, and its bloated body suddenly shrunk significantly. It became more muscular, and the muscles under its scales and fur became more plump. Then, its 4 limbs kicked off the demonic mist around it, and it changed its direction. At the same time, it dodged the 2 flying daggers. "It's going to save the other magical beast," Zhou Yu exclaimed. He decisively summoned his longsword Dharma treasure, and with the unique pressure of a nascent soul, he joined the battle. When Dai Ming and Yu Fian saw that the pig-headed monster had dodged the attack, they simultaneously formed a seal with their hands and used the combined blade theurgy from before. The 2 Dharma treasures instantly merged into a black and white flying dagger. It disappeared on the spot, and as if it had teleported, it appeared beside the pig-headed monster and blasted towards the side of its body. Unexpectedly, the monster's intelligent eyes flashed with a hint of disdain. It continued to run in the direction of the other magical beasts, as if the attack was nothing to it. Before Dai Ming and Yu Fian could rejoice, they felt the resistance of their Dharma treasures. The invisible force field on the surface of the monster's body seemed to have become much stronger. However, with the support of the yin-yang nascent soul, the flying dagger still managed to break through. However, at this moment, the grayish-black scales under the black membrane of light suddenly swelled up and doubled in thickness. Boom! Violent energy surged in all directions, and the demonic fog within a few feet of the array was cleared. The black and white flying dagger that contained the power of a nascent soul cultivator was repelled. However, the pig-headed monster only staggered a little before continuing to run. The bulging scales on the side of its body disappeared again, and it seemed to be unscathed. This defensive power, Dai Ming and Yu Fian were shocked. However, they were experienced demonic cultivators after all. They continued to use the power of the yin-yang nascent soul in their bodies. The black and white flying dagger flashed again, and appeared in front of the pig-headed monster, wanting to attack its head. At this moment, Zhou Yu's longsword Dharma treasure, which contained the power of a nascent soul cultivator, rushed over. Boom! An even more terrifying shockwave rolled out, and the pig-headed monster was thrown to the ground by this terrifying power. However, after a few groans, it flipped over and stood up. The protruding scales on its forehead were slowly fading away. The defensive power of a nascent soul cultivator? This combined body is so powerful. It repelled our Dharma treasures and its physical strength has increased. While everyone was still in shock, Lei Batian suddenly said, "Its physical body has shrunk. It seems to be sacrificing its flesh to increase its defensive power." Dai Ming and the other two were stunned. They were focused on attacking just now and did not notice. Now that they took a closer look, the pig-headed monster's body had indeed shrunk by one size. The surging power of blood qi had also weakened. In other words, if they continued to attack, they would be able to wear down the monster's flesh? At this moment, the demonic cultivators around them cheered. It turned out that the remaining demonic beasts had all fallen to the ground under the combined efforts of everyone. Dai Ming's spirit was lifted. The other demonic beasts are all dead. Let's save the power of our nascent soul cultivators and wear it down together. When Lei Batian heard this, a thought flashed through his mind. If the pig-headed monster was formed from the combination of the dead demonic beasts, then if the other demonic beasts died, be careful of the corpse transformation of the dead demonic beasts. Just as he said this, the smaller pig-headed monster came to the side of the corpse of the demonic tiger. It swung its thick lizard tail and the corpse flew toward the pig-headed monster. At the same time, the corpse shriveled up at a speed visible to the naked eye and turned into a pool of dark blood that entered the pig-headed monster's mouth. Roar! An excited roar sounded. The pig-headed monster swallowed the pool of blood, and its body seemed to have received some kind of nourishment. The muscles under its scales swelled up, and even its head became rounder. More fangs grew out of its mouth, and the sharp claws on its limbs doubled in size. It can absorb the corpses of demonic beasts to strengthen itself. Everyone was shocked to see this scene. "Stop this monster!" Lei Batian roared as a jade talisman appeared in his hand. He activated a trace of blood essence and began to chant an obscure spell. The other disciples reacted quickly. Some of them summoned an even thicker demonic mist to envelop the area. Some of them used the power of the spell formation to separate the corpses of the demonic beasts. Boom! Dai Ming and the others launched another joint attack. However, the pig-headed monster's speed and defense had increased. It endured the attacks and grabbed another corpse. Just like before, the corpse was turned into a pool of blood and was swallowed by the pig-headed monster. The monster's body became huge and solid again. A terrifying aura of blood qi surged into the sky. At this moment, Lei Batian's spell was completed. Accompanied by a terrifying aura, a pitch-black demonic hand appeared on top of the monster's head. Rumble! The demonic hand was like a small mountain. It pressed the monster's huge body to the ground, creating a shockwave. Libation's body trembled. His eyes were bloodshot as he said, "This is a demonic blood hand that Elder Lu used a secret technique to seal. I can't control it for long. Let's destroy the other demonic beasts' corpses first. We'll deal with this monster later." The others did not dare to delay. They rushed toward the remaining 4 corpses with their Dharma treasures. The corpses seemed to have sensed something. A black light film appeared around the corpses. They broke free from the spell formation and flew up on their own. "Oh no, kill them quickly!" One by one, the Dharma treasures slammed into the strange corpses with great power. Boom, 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 violent shockwaves rolled in the spell formation. Under the power of the Dharma treasures, the remaining 4 corpses were torn apart. Before everyone could heave a sigh of relief, Zhou Yu seemed to have discovered something. He exclaimed, "There's something else." Within the gray dust, a lump of dark flesh was wriggling rapidly. It turned into a blurry figure half the height of a human and shot out at an astonishing speed. "What the hell is that? A nascent soul? How can there be such a big nascent soul? It looks like a physical body. It's rushing toward the monster. Stop it!" Everyone controlled their Dharma treasures and spells. However, the flesh figure was extremely agile. There was also an invisible force field around its body. Even the Dharma treasures that contained the power of a nascent soul were deflected by this force. Soon, the figure arrived outside the demonic blood hand. With a splash, it separated into a lump of blood and slid into the demonic hand through the gaps between its fingertips. Chapter 1199. As the flesh and blood seeped in, Libation's demonic hand suddenly trembled violently. The incomparably deep demonic power within seemed to have been shaken layer by layer, and the surrounding black demonic mist began to tumble outwards. At the same time, streaks of multicolored restriction energy appeared in the surrounding air. These restrictions flickered wildly as if they were under great pressure. The demonic cultivators at the core of the formation were all shocked to see this. A few of them hurriedly injected demonic power into the restriction medallions in their hand. Boom! However, in the next moment, the huge blood devil's hand and the spiritual light of the restriction that was on the verge of collapse shattered with a loud rumble. Turbulent waves of air swept out in all directions. The ground seemed to have been struck by some kind of terrifying brute force, and it shook violently. The surrounding formations were the best of the best from the blood-refining sect and the Yin-Yang sect. They were powerful enough to withstand the might of a nascent soul cultivator, but they were broken in an instant. Looking from afar, an empty sphere with a radius of 100 feet appeared in this vast formation. The shattered restrictions and demonic mist were squeezed out of the sphere. When the 2 demonic sect disciples saw this, they unconsciously swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Their eyes flashed with horror. According to their understanding of formations, even an early-stage nascent soul cultivator might not be able to do this. What was that human-shaped flesh and blood just now? How did these demonic beasts come back to life? Why were their corpses able to fuse and erupt with such terrifying power? These questions flashed through everyone's minds. For a moment, the formation became silent. Thump, thump, thump! A few powerful heartbeats suddenly sounded in the air. It was like the sound of heavy drums hammering on one's heart. An incomparably terrifying aura appeared in the surroundings, making it difficult to breathe. Immediately afterward, a surge of blood-chi energy as deep as the ocean soared into the sky. The shattered spiritual light in the empty area of the formation was squeezed out, and an incomparably huge figure gradually appeared. This was a monster that resembled a human. Its entire body was covered in grayish-black scales. It was more than 10 feet tall, and apart from pig ears, wolf nose, tiger teeth, and cow horns on its round head, the rest of its appearance was that of a human. It even had a head of short black hair. Its waist was even wider than a water tank, and it looked a bit like a hybrid between a bear and a lizard. At the front of its thick, scaly limbs were sharp claws with 5 fingers that resembled human hands. A thick lizard tail swayed behind its back. Different from the pig-headed monster from before, this humanoid monster's eyes were murky. The color of its pupils kept changing between blood red and black. Its eyes were filled with bloodthirst, chaos, desire, pain, and other complicated emotions. The moment this monster appeared, the air within a radius of 10 feet started to distort. It was as if a circular energy field was being pulled back and squeezed within 3 feet of the monster's skin, forming a blurry energy layer. Boom! Suddenly, the monster's thick tail swung in the air. Accompanied by an ear-piercing sonic boom, the huge monster rushed toward the group with a violent wind pressure. The surrounding black demonic mist was squeezed away when it was 3 feet away from the monster's body. It was almost unable to stop its charge. Moreover, this invisible energy seemed to have a terrifying offensive power. Wherever it passed, the hidden restrictions flickered incessantly, as if they would explode at any moment. The group of people hundreds of feet away hadn't even seen the appearance of the monster before they saw it rushing over. They were all scared out of their wits. This terrifying speed was several times faster than the demonic beasts from before. They even felt that the light of a nascent soul cultivator wasn't as fast as this monster. A distance of 1,000 feet would be covered in an instant. Array formation! Leibatian roared. At some unknown time, a 9 feet tall giant figure had appeared in front of him. Its entire body was covered in purplish-black scales, and there were fierce bone spurs growing out of its joint. It was Qian Jingshan's demonic zombie. The chief disciple of the blood-refining sect bit the tip of his tongue and stimulated a mass of blood essence to form a special blood seal. He then injected it into the head of the demonic zombie. The demonic zombie's originally closed eyes suddenly opened, exuding an extremely cruel gaze. Then, accompanied by the sound of tearing air, the demonic zombie rushed out with astonishing speed. Leibatian sat down cross-legged and muttered incantations. His hands continued to form seals, as if he was using some kind of magic to control the demonic zombie. Seeing this, the others let out a sigh of relief. The demonic zombie's speed was comparable to the monster's, and its body was incomparably tough. It could withstand the attacks of a mid-nascent soul cultivator. With such a meat shield in front of them, their safety was greatly increased. Everyone began to move. The people of the Yin-Yang sect controlled the power of the array formation. The 8 disciples of the blood-refining sect formed a defensive square. A blood-red barrier containing nascent soul aura appeared. Dai Ming, Yufian, and Zhou Yu didn't care about conserving their nascent soul energy. 2 short knives and a long sword exuded a powerful pressure as they rushed out with the demonic zombie. Bam! The 2 huge bodies collided with each other, producing a heavy sound of collision. A turbulent wave of air surged in all directions. Unexpectedly, the humanoid monster only staggered and stopped its body. However, the demonic zombie's purplish-black body was sent flying. It was like an ant trying to shake a tree. It didn't have the slightest strength to resist. The originally high morale of the demonic cultivators were all stunned when they saw this scene. Leibatian, in particular, revealed an expression of disbelief. This demonic zombie was the subbody of the First Elder's demonic chiliarch art. Although the cold demonic energy in its body had dissipated before entering the secret realm, it could still fight against 8th or 9th grade demonic beasts with its physical body alone. How could such a powerful existence be sent flying just like that? Just how terrifying was the power contained in this humanoid monster's body? The humanoid monster didn't continue to charge. It tilted its head and twitched its wolf nose. When its gaze fell on the demonic zombie's body, the red and black light in its eyes suddenly flashed violently. Roar! It raised its thick hands and hugged its head. Under its scales were bulging muscles. It seemed to be in extreme pain. A moment later, the black light in the monster's eyes shone brightly, suppressing the red light. Its fang-filled mouth suddenly spat out a hoarse and pained voice. "Ah, it's you, all of you, deserve to die." Immediately after, a black film of light flashed over its body. Its body suddenly shrinking from its original height of over 10 feet to 7 feet. With a plop, it landed on the ground from midair and extended its right claw. 70 to 80 feet away, the demonic zombie that had just stood up suddenly stopped moving. It kept its arms and legs together and kept struggling. There seemed to be an invisible force binding it in the air. This force surpassed its brute strength. Without the help of the cold demonic energy, it couldn't break free. At this time, Zhou Yu and the other two immediately reacted. 3 dazzling magic treasures rushed towards the monster's head. Dai Ming clearly remembered that the weakness of the monsters in the demonic beast garden was the humanoid head. But who knew that the monster would stretch out its other claw? The 3 magic treasures were locked in place 100 feet away. They fiercely trembled in midair, as if they were bound by an invisible force just like the demonic zombie. The monster waved its thick arm and threw the 3 magic treasures that contained the strength of a nascent soul towards the group of demonic cultivators as if they were trash. Zhou Yu and the others were sweating profusely. All of their demonic energy and nascent soul strength surged as they tried to control the magic treasures. But the strength of the throwing magic treasures exceeded the limits of their demonic energy control. Bang! The array formation outside the core of the array formation was directly shattered, striking the blood-red barrier behind it. The 2 nascent soul-level powers were in a deadlock. Only then were the 3 people able to barely control the magic treasures. Everyone was stunned, not daring to believe the scene in front of them. The strength of this monster far surpassed their imaginations. It was absolutely more terrifying than the demonic zombie. What the hell is this thing? Its strength is at least equal to a 9th-level monster beast. It doesn't fear the strength of a nascent soul, and it has all sorts of strange supernatural abilities. The strength of both sides isn't even on the same level. After the humanoid monster threw the magic treasures, an invisible force forcefully bound the demonic zombie in front of it. Its thick claw pressed against the zombie's head. Streaks of dark liquid flowed out of its fingertips like nimble little snakes and entered the demonic zombie's mouth, nose, and ears. This scene made everyone's scalp tingle. Senior Brotherley, don't worry about the demonic zombie. Our lives are more important. With this kind of strength, even the nascent soul elders in the sect might not be a match for it. Lei Batian was a little hesitant. If they escaped just like that, not only would they fail the Grand Elder's mission, but they would also lose his clone. But then, he felt the connection between him and the demonic zombie rapidly weakening. He clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Let's retreat. Everyone felt as if they had been pardoned and quickly got into formation. The disciples of the Yin-Yang sect made a hand seal at the same time. The restriction that covered 1,000 feet suddenly exploded. Amidst the explosions, the disciples of the 2 sects turned into blood-red lights and shot up into the sky. Chapter 1200. At the bottom of the abyss, the multicolored restriction light flickered incessantly, recklessly releasing the power of the explosion. Suddenly, the broken restriction light felt some kind of powerful pressure and was squeezed into arc-shaped sonic clouds, violently surging in all directions. A huge figure soared into the sky. It was the humanoid monster. Its thick limbs were like a reptile as it ran through the air. Its tail constantly slapped the air behind it, causing the air around it to constantly distort. It was like the solid ground was providing it with a counterforce as it chased after the group of demonic cultivators. However, the demonic zombie that Lei Batian had released had disappeared without a trace. At the same time, the blood-red mist that permeated the abyss seemed to be attracted by something and surged towards the monster's body. The disciples of the 2 sects, who had only flown a few thousand feet, saw the monster running through the void as if it were flat ground and were as fast as lightning. All of them were terrified. These people had detonated the formation in order to buy time, but who would have thought that this guy would directly rush out? In the absence of the formation's obstruction, its speed was even more astonishing. Their escape lights were enhanced by the power of 3 nascent souls, so they were a bit faster than ordinary early nascent soul cultivators. However, compared to the monster, they were 10 to 20% slower. The distance between the two sides was only a few thousand feet. It wouldn't take long for it to catch up to them. This monster's strength was comparable to that of a mid-nascent soul cultivator. As long as it got close, this barrier, which barely had the defensive power of an early nascent soul cultivator, would not be able to withstand a single blow. What do we do? It's about to catch up to us. Senior Marshall Brothers, do you have any other nascent soul techniques? Even nascent soul cultivators are no match for this monster. Let's split up and run. Maybe we'll have a chance to survive. Bullshit, if we split up, our speed will be greatly reduced and we'll die faster. Lei Baishan's expression became more and more unsightly as he listened to the crowd's clamor. He could no longer sense the demonic zombie's aura. The fact that the secret technique to control the demonic zombie was broken in such a short time meant that the other party's soul was also very powerful. Are we just going to wait for death? Wait! At this moment, Lei Batian suddenly discovered something. Did you guys notice that this guy's body has shrunk a lot? Hearing this, the others all looked back. It's true. The pig-headed monster seems to have sacrificed its flesh to increase its defense. When this guy was controlling the demonic zombie and the magic treasure, his body shrank to 8 or 9 feet. Now he only looks 7 feet. Could it be that this monster's ability consumes flesh and blood? Hey, when it flies, its body also seems to be shrinking. This reduction is too small. We can't outlast it. Dai Ming narrowed his eyes and glanced at the blood-red mist surrounding the monster. He pondered and said, "The mist here contains blood chi energy. It's pouring into the monster's body, as if it's replenishing its energy. If we escape from the abyss and there is no blood mist outside, the consumption of its flesh and blood might be greatly increased." When the others heard this, their spirits were lifted, and a glimmer of hope flashed in their eyes. Lei Batian said decisively, "Junior Marshall Brothers, I will lend you a hand and transfer the energy of the defensive barrier to the light to increase its speed." Dai Ming also ordered, "Disciples of the Holy Church, add magic power to the escape light. Now we can only exhaust it." "Yes, senior brother." The 20 demonic cultivators moved. They used all kinds of abilities to increase the speed of the escape light, including the energy from the blood-refining sect's defensive secret technique. The escape light was strengthened by 4 nascent souls. With the help of 8 disciples of the Yin-Yang sect, they sacrificed their defensive power to increase their speed by 20%. They were even slightly faster than the monster. The distance between the two parties was maintained at about 1,000 feet, and it was still slowly widening. Even so, the demonic cultivators did not dare to be careless. Their current speed consumed a lot of their magic power. Only by escaping from the abyss and confirming the rate at which the monster's flesh and blood was being consumed would they have a chance to survive. Just as everyone's speed increased, the humanoid monster raised its head. Apart from the black light in its eyes, there was also a hint of blood red. Shaking its head, it suddenly opened its bloody mouth and took a deep breath. Its body, which was like a water tank, suddenly shrank by a size. Roar! Accompanied by a heaven-shaking roar, a dark mass of flesh and blood shot out from its mouth. This mass of flesh and blood seemed to be driven by some kind of terrifying power. It tore through the air and flew out at an astonishing speed. At the same time, it wriggled and gradually turned into a streamlined shape. It looked like a tongue, and there was a layer of invisible force field floating on its surface. Not good, quickly dodge. The group of demonic cultivators couldn't help but exclaim. They didn't expect this monster to have a long-range attack. Why didn't it use it in the formation? Sensing the terrifying speed of the flesh and blood tongue, Dai Ming's face sank. The escape light swayed left and right in the air, trying to change direction to dodge. Unexpectedly, the twisting force field around the tongue flickered and changed direction. This piece of flesh that was spat out by some kind of huge force could change direction on its own. Damn it! We can't dodge it. Change to defense. Lei Batian roared. As he spoke, the demonic energy within the bodies of the blood-refining sect disciples revolved. A blood-red barrier appeared around the escape light. Just as they finished doing all this, the flesh and blood tongue rushed over. The flesh and blood inside twisted and turned from soft to hard, turning into a dark bone spike that pierced into the defensive barrier. Boom! Everyone felt an unparalleled and terrifying force rush over. The nascent soul-level defense was not worth mentioning at all. This bone spike was like a drill. It tore through the defensive barrier and squeezed in. Then, it trembled and exploded. An invisible force field mixed with a large amount of flesh and blood fragments exploded from inside. The rapidly escaping escape light came to an abrupt stop. Everyone felt as if they had bumped into a mountain. The protective barrier shattered one after another. The flesh and blood rushed towards them. Like blood in water, it directly melted on the surface of their skin and entered their bodies. What the hell is this? My flesh and blood! Ah, miserable cries rang out. The bodies of the demonic cultivators that had been invaded withered and melted like candles, turning into pools of blood. Among this group of people, only Zhou Yu, Dai Ming, and Yu Fian activated their nascent soul power in time to protect their bodies and barely blocked the power of the explosion. But outside their barriers, many pieces of flesh and blood wrapped around them. Creaking sounds could be heard, as if they were gnawing at their demonic energy. What frightened them even more was that the flesh and blood contained an invisible force field. Although there was no pressure, it sealed the space and made it impossible for them to use escape technique. As for the others, including Lei Batian, they turned into pools of blood and floated in the air along with their clothes and magic treasures. With this delay, the humanoid monster had already arrived at their position. Its appearance had changed again. Its thick waist had shriveled. Its height had not changed, but its body had become much slimmer. It did not pay any attention to the terrified trio. It took a deep breath, and the 17 balls of dark red blood converged towards its bloody mouth. As the blood flowed in, the blood-red light in the monster's eyes quickly faded, gradually turning into pure black pupils. In those pitch-black eyes there was confusion, reminiscence, pain, and other complicated expressions. After a long time, it returned to its normal state. Then, the monster looked at the 3 survivors. It stretched out its right hand and a terrifying fluctuation spread out in the air. The protective spiritual light around Yu Fian's body trembled violently. The tall female cultivator screamed in horror, "Senior brother, save me!" But Dai Ming's eyes flashed and he did not do anything. In the next moment, the shield that contained the power of the nascent soul stage shattered. Yu Fian's tall and exquisite body floated in front of the monster. Her head was pressed by the thick and sharp claw. An incomparably vigorous power of divine sense gushed out from the flesh and blood palm. Dai Ming's face turned pale when he felt this divine sense fluctuation. He did not dare to move at all. The monster was clearly using a nascent soul cultivator's unique soul-searching technique. With a qi, the soul-searching technique seemed to have triggered some kind of restriction. Yu Fian's delicate head suddenly exploded and her divine sense aura dissipated. The humanoid monster was slightly stunned. Then, it opened its mouth and spat out a ball of dark black liquid. The corpse of the female cultivator from the Yin-Yang sect condensed into a pool of blood and was sucked into its mouth, just like the others. Then, it waved its hand and the storage bracelets around it floated over. A dozen milky white jade pendants floated in front of it. When the humanoid monster saw the 2 words, Yuan, carved on the jade pendants, its expression became complicated. It was dazed and seemed to be lost in its memories. After an unknown amount of time, a hoarse male voice suddenly came out of the monster's mouth. It had a strong sense of vicissitude. 300 years, a whole 300 years have passed. I didn't expect this cage to open after such a long time. If it had been any later, the divine sense of my flesh and blood clone would have been completely devoured by bloodthirsty's will and disappeared from this world. As it spoke, a strange fluctuation radiated from the monster's body. The pieces of flesh that wrapped around Dai Ming and Yu Fian let out a cheerful whistle. They landed on the monster's scales like swallows returning to their nest, and then disappeared. He looked at Dai Ming's face and the vicissitudes of life came out again. "Little guy, I have some impression of you. You appeared outside the devil refining cave 300 years ago." When Dai Ming heard this, he seemed to have thought of something. His eyes flashed with disbelief. He looked at the monster in front of him and stuttered, "You know, Senior, you're that demon zombie leader?" Chapter 1201. When the humanoid monster heard the words, "Devil Zombie Leader," a trace of sorrow flashed through its eyes. It ignored Dai Ming's words, and there seemed to be a trace of guilt in its expression. After a moment of silence, it said, "Junior, let me ask you, how many core formation stage devil cultivators entered the secret realm?" Although he used the soul-searching technique on Yu Fian, he accidentally touched upon the core information of the Yin-Yang sect when he was searching for the secret realm's entrance and exit. This triggered the oath restriction in her soul, causing her soul to dissipate and die. Therefore, he didn't obtain much information. Seeing that the monster didn't deny it, Dai Ming didn't dare to confirm it. After all, the monster's appearance was completely different from that of a devil zombie. When he heard the monster's question, he hurriedly replied, "Senior, in the second level of the secret realm, apart from the devil cultivators from our two sects, there are 4 sword cultivators from the body refining pavilion and 6 loose cultivators." As he spoke, he was extremely nervous. This monster's actions seemed to be similar to the legendary zombies that liked to devour the flesh of humans. Could it be that it wanted to devour all the cultivators in the secret realm? Then wouldn't it be impossible for him and Zhou Yu to survive? Body refining pavilion? The humanoid monster was stunned. Its tone was filled with astonishment. What sect is that? Could it be a sect that specializes in cultivating the body? Dai Ming replied, "Yes, Senior. The disciples of the body refining pavilion cultivate a body refinement technique that has never appeared in the cultivation world before. It's rumored that high-level body cultivators can resist magic treasures with their bodies. Their battle prowess is astonishing." The humanoid monster muttered, "Body cultivators. Could it be that the cloudy body refining technique has been leaked?" As it muttered, the invisible force field around it surged again. Dai Ming felt an endless pressure coming from all directions. His expression instantly became extremely frightened. "Senior, please spare." In the next moment, Dai Ming's nascent soul-level barrier shattered. His body was powerless as it was controlled to the front of the monster. A terrifying nascent soul-level divine sense enveloped him. The humanoid monster was very careful this time. It didn't touch upon the secrets of the Yin-Yang sect. It only searched for memories related to the body refining pavilion. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, a dark liquid gushed out from his thick palm. Dai Ming's body turned into a puddle of blood just like the others, which he swallowed. When Zhou Yu saw this scene, his face turned incomparably pale and his body trembled. This monster was talking to them just a moment ago, and in the next moment it was searching their souls and eating their flesh. It was even more terrifying than the most evil demonic cultivator. Despair flashed in his eyes. The humanoid monster combed through the memories in its mind, its eyes flashing with shock. "And the owner of the body refining pavilion is as powerful as a soul formation cultivator? How did they do it? Could it be that they derived the cloudy body tempering mantra?" These body cultivators seem to be cultivating by themselves. They don't have any subbodies or clones. How do they solve the problem of blood, chi, and demonic energy devouring their bodies? Thinking of this, he looked at his own body. Although the blood, chi, and demonic energy have reached a balance with the demonic zombie body after forming the origin power of the physical body, my soul will be affected by the bloodthirsty intent after I leave my dormant state. Even though I created the flesh clone technique and separated my soul, it can only delay the corrosion of the bloodthirsty intent. I have no choice but to devour human flesh like a zombie to maintain my consciousness. How did they successfully break through the threshold of the nascent soul stage? How? Thinking of this, the figure of a bald man suddenly appeared in his mind. 300 years ago, that bald man was clearly from the body refining pavilion. He slandered the cloudy body tempering mantra and even said that he created his own body tempering technique. Could it be true? Just as he was thinking, a loud rumble suddenly sounded in his ears. The surrounding blood-red mist began to tremble, forming a powerful air current that surged in all directions. It was as if some kind of colossal creature was pressing down on him. The humanoid monster raised its head and looked at the sky with its pitch-black eyes. In the depths of the surging blood-red mist, there seemed to be a figure charging down from above. This aura, a hint of disbelief flashed in the humanoid monster's eyes, as if it had discovered something strange. It slammed its thick tail into the void below it, and its entire body shot up into the sky. Seeing this, a glimmer of hope flashed in Zhou Yu's eyes. But before he could do anything, a loud noise came from the sky. The blood-red mist seemed to be under some kind of powerful pressure and turned into circles of shock waves that bombarded from above, emitting a terrifying fluctuation. Oh no! Zhou Yu couldn't care about anything else. He activated the demonic seed orb in his hand and added the power of the nascent soul stage to the shield. Immediately after, he felt a terrifying impact in his face. It was as if he was a lonely boat that was hit by the waves of the sea. Together with the shield, he was violently blasted away. He only managed to stop himself when he was 200 or 300 feet away. Fortunately, the power of the shock wave was not concentrated. It seemed to be just an aftershock. His shield didn't shatter and only dimmed a little. Zhou Yu wiped off his cold sweat and subconsciously looked up. He saw that the blood-red mist in the area of a few hundred feet in the sky had turned into circles of shock waves that rolled out. There were rumbles coming from the cliff on both sides of the abyss. That is, when he saw the situation in the sky clearly, Zhou Yu couldn't help but be stunned. There was an ape with dark golden fur all over its body. It was raising a pair of relatively small monkey fists and clashing with the thick claws of the humanoid monster. Outside the bodies of the two figures, there was a layer of invisible force field. One big and one small, like two semicircular ripples, colliding with each other outside the fist. The waves of invisible shock waves came from the middle. It seemed that the golden-haired ape was at a disadvantage. Its small body was trembling non-stop. The air behind it was twisted into a huge arc and squeezed back inch by inch. It could be blasted away at any time. Roar. Suddenly, the golden-haired ape let out a roar, and a terrifying blood chi surged from its body. Its arms swelled at a speed visible to the naked eye, and its thick muscles intertwined with each other, making it look extremely ferocious. The moment its arms changed, the invisible force field outside its body seemed to be released. A terrifying aura spread out. Boom! An even more violent wave of air rushed out in all directions, and the 7-feet-tall humanoid monster was actually pushed back. The air around it was constantly distorted, and it staggered for a good 7 to 8 feet before it could stop. This scene stunned Zhou Yu. He knew the strength of this monster. Even the demonic zombie was sent flying by it. Now it was pushed back by another monster? What kind of monster is this? Not only is its strength terrifying, the invisible force field outside its body looks exactly the same as the monster, the humanoid monster was also stunned. Its eyes were filled with shock. It muttered, "Physical source energy, long-armed giant ape, this." The golden-haired ape bared its teeth. Its arms quickly shrank. It rubbed its monkey fists as if it was in pain. The way it looked at the monster was very strange. It whispered something in its mouth. Whoosh whoosh! At this moment, 7 figures flew out from the blood-red mist in the sky. They landed beside the golden-haired ape like lightning. The leader was a strange man with a thin body and an abnormally thick right arm. A man and a woman stood on both sides. These 2 people had an extraordinary aura. Their exposed skin had obvious muscle lines. The 4 people behind them were thin, but their bodies were surging with astonishing sword intent. They were the 7 disciples of the body-refining pavilion. Li Qianfeng looked at the half-human, half-beast monster in the sky and suddenly took a step forward. His eyes were filled with respect as he said, "Body-refining pavilions." Li Qianfeng greets Senior Hong. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.